So when Eddie Gallagher sends me a text, my immediate inclination is to be like, sir, yes, sir. And then when I get a follow-up text from Jim DiOrio saying you better do this, it's like, yes, sir.
Yeah.
So I did take a look at your son's case. We had a chance to talk on the phone. We just been talking off camera as well. Hits close to home because you guys are from the town right next to where I grew up, down in Mantua. And this is the most no gray area, black and white case I've seen in a long, long time. So I felt like, it goes without saying, jokes aside, like this is definitely something where if we can help get a little attention on this, like I did with the Tyree Wallace case back in the day, perhaps some cooler heads can prevail and we can make sure the right justice is done here. So people don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I think we should probably give some idea, but I have the Oldratis here with me. So if you guys wouldn't mind introducing yourself and then also maybe a little intro into your son, Sal, and what's going on.
So I'm Barbara Oldrati. I'm the mother of Corporal Salvatore Oldrati.
And I'm Drew Oldrati, Sal's dad.
From South Philly.
From South Philly, yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love it. I love it. So your son Sal is a cop in Mantua Township, New Jersey.
Yes.
And essentially, just because it's been like a 5-year odyssey here, let's just start at the top. Like, what happened?
So he was involved in a critical incident back in on September 14th, 2021. There was a reporting of an armed burglary in progress at a residence, which was about 2 blocks from the police department. So him and his corporal responded. His corporal is the first officer on the scene where he encounters a man at the curb, which he believes, because he sees the front door open, he believes is the homeowner who was called to report the burglaries of breaking into his shed and breaking into his car. When he rolls down his passenger side window, he's met immediately with the man extending his arm and pointing a gun at him. The decedent, he's now decedent, was on an open line with 911.
At the same time?
At the same time. He was on the phone with 911. And you hear Corporal Layton through the 911 call say, put your gun down, put your gun down. And he speeds up just to get out of harm's way, maybe like a house or two. And Salvatore is following right behind him.
And what time, I'm sorry, I think you said it. What time of night was this again?
This is around 1:30 a.m., low light conditions, early in the morning of September 14th.
Okay. So the first guy, Layton is his name?
Corporal Layton.
So once he's making the call, suspect is armed with a weapon as far as he can tell. How far ahead does he move when he moves out of the way?
About a house.
Yeah, about a house or two.
Up. He wasn't able to get his weapon. He was, seated in a seated position, was able to get his weapon out. And he was startled because he's, his belief is that this is the homeowner calling, and here he's met with a weapon right to his head.
Hey guys, 3 quick things. Number 1, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It's a huge, huge help. Number 2, if you'd like to join my Patreon for early uncensored releases of the full episodes, you can join via the link in my description or in the pinned comment below. And number 3, if you'd like to join my clipping community for a chance to make content from the show and make money, you can join via the Discord link in my description below. Right.
So he pulls up, and Salvatore, at the same time, Salvatore is coming behind him, but he's following his corporal. The corporal gets out of the car. Salvatore gets out of the car, and Corporal Layton says, he's got a gun, he's got a gun. Salvatore says, where? And you can see on the 911 call, Salvatore peeks out, ducks back. He says, I made sure he had that weapon, and he had it pointed at him. And he engaged him. And he goes down, and he's still in possession of the firearm. Salvatore engages him again and says, stop reaching, stop reaching. And then they were eventually able to move forward once they saw that the weapon was no longer in his hands. They were able to move forward and then start EMS, life-saving procedures, which Salvatore is an EMS as well. He's EMT. Right. He's certified.
So Layton also at this point is able to have his gun drawn as well as they're moving in to check the scene.
Correct.
And by the way, I have a picture here that you showed me. This is from your son Sal's body.
Correct. Body camera.
Body camera right here. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's this part's a little,
that's
that
the car.
Part's not.
Yep,
this
that's
part's
the cop
a little
car
hazy.
right
this
there.
This is the cop car, so he's still seated.
Yep, and Salvatore lights him up lights the flashlight, right? He
Right.
illuminates.
He
So we can clearly see, and we're going to come to Mr. Sharp and like his whole backstory and everything, because it's very tragic. Obviously, the whole story is tragic. But what I'm seeing right here is that I can't see personally in the body cam because it's hazy what's in his hand, but I can see he's clearly in like if you were going to have a gun in your hand, like a cocked kind of position like that. So your son was able to identify, just like Leighton did, that in his hands here was a gun.
Correct.
And this is the gun that he had right here.
That's correct.
Yes. Okay. Now, what kind of gun is this?
I don't know if it's a 9mm.
I think it's a 9mm according to the reports.
Semi-auto.
Okay. So what's the timeline approximately of?
Or I'm sorry, that could have been a 45. Whatever he said on his 911 call, he said it was a 45.
He said it on the call.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, we're gonna play the call in a couple minutes too, just so people have that background. But what is the roughly, as far as we know, the time period from when this shot is taken, where Sal is holding the flashlight out to him, to the first shot ringing out?
Like not even seconds, not even a second. He says, I illuminate him. I saw that he was pointing the gun at me. I thought he was going to shoot me, and my training kicked in. And
the shooting's milliseconds. You know, you're not waiting to get fired upon before you discharge your firearm.
Right.
You know, you're protecting yourself, your partner, the citizens there, everybody.
Let's take a step back for a minute, too, so people have a little bit of the backstory and context as well, because this is obviously like the night of a critical event that happens, but there's a lot of things that happen before this. How long had Sal been a cop at this point?
So Salvatore was involved in policing. He officially became a police officer when he was 19 in Camden, but his training started at the young age of 14. He was a member of the Philadelphia Police Explorers, so he would go every Saturday and he would train.
The Philadelphia Police Explorers.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is this?
Oh, that's an excellent program for anybody who's interested in becoming law enforcement. You go to this program, there's training, PT training, everything.
Scenario
you would
training.
go through the police academy without being paid by the city. So when the explorers take their police test, they're usually the top people who rank high. And they pass the PT, no problem. They flow through the academy, no issues, because from the age of 14 to I think 18 years old, you can stay in this program and groom yourself to become the best of the best before you take the police test.
So when he was 18, I said to him, well, maybe you should move in with Nanny and Poppy in Jersey, because if you're going to be a police officer, put your life on the line, maybe go somewhere a little safer than Philadelphia. Make a little bit more money.
Make more money than in Philly?
In certain areas of New Jersey, yes. Their pension is different. 25 years where the more he works, my husband's a Philadelphia police officer with the SWAT unit.
You're in the SWAT? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I have 37 years in the city of Philadelphia, and the last 28.
Is there an Uzi in that cannoli? I mean, shit.
No, we
the last
checked
28 years on the SWAT team and counting.
Right. So we just thought it would be better opportunity. And my brother was a police officer in New Jersey and guided him, and along the way was his mentor as well. So he moved in with my parents, and then he went to Camden County College and he became an EMT. And then from there, he took the alternative route to the police academy to become a member of the police department in Camden. So he went through the police academy, and he was a police officer in Camden.
That's a tough place.
Yeah.
He loved it.
Oh, he loved it.
He loved it.
He loved it. He's a real cop's cop, right? He trained, he would educate himself, he would take classes, anything he could do to make sure he was prepared. And one night, actually, in Camden in November, he was working with his good friend and partner, Patrick O'Hanlon, and he was in pursuit of a suspect, and Pat had engaged with him and was wrestling with him and was shot in the leg. And Salvatore pulled up on the scene, and he had a tourniquet. He was the only one that had the tourniquet. They were not standard issued at that time. And he was able to get the tourniquet on his leg, throw him in the cop car, and get him to the hospital, get him to Cooper.
Femoral. Yeah.
Yep. And the surgeons and the doctors there said if that did not happen, we would have a total different scene here. He would have most likely bled out.
That's one of the worst places to get shot. I've heard from a lot of people.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so ironic. Like, oh, did you have to shoot him dead mass center? Couldn't you shoot him in the leg? People don't understand. Like, you shoot him in the leg, you have a femoral artery running through. Like, that's, anyway.
That's how Sean Taylor died, I believe, when his home was burglarized. He was shot in the leg and the artery severed.
And you bleed out, right?
You bleed out like very quickly.
So, he was in Camden for many years and then had the opportunity to move to Mantua, where there's more room for growth and opportunity, more pay.
Now, what's it? Let's look at Camden though as well, because like I spent some time in Camden growing up because I grew up very close to there in West Deptford, and it's always joked about as like not a great neighborhood and everything. They have tried to rebuild some of it, and in some little parts they've done a good job, but it's certainly. It wasn't always this way, but the past 50 years or so, 50, 60 years, it's been a really dangerous spot. So your son is coming up at a young age, basically on the street, 19, 20 years old, learning how to be a police officer in Camden. What was, I assume you've had some good conversations about what that's like. Like, how do you build community trust? How do you still do your job while, not trying to be fenced off from everyone, if you will, because there's a natural distrust between the communities, like police officers and the people in a lot of these places.
Yeah. In Camden, it's a lot of community policing. They do a lot with the community. However, they revamped and reworked that. It was a lot of the community policing, but still dangerous, right? You still have people running around. Officers still have to do their job. When he told me, I'm like, I moved you out of Philadelphia. I didn't want you to go to Camden. I wanted you to be somewhere safer, not Camden.
You're like, that's my boy.
Right. But, this is all he's ever wanted to do from a young age. We always say, like, he came out of the womb ready to go, always took an interest in a very young age in this profession. And he's seen a lot of things that most 19-year-olds haven't experienced. And he was out there, protecting his community and his fellow officers, and he was awesome at it, which led to this event, moved to Mantua, a nice little safer town. But it wasn't your common, drug dealer or gang member. This was just, that evening was a man who suffered decades of depression and alcohol abuse, and then within recently drug abuse that has now ended my son's career and possibly jail time for doing his job.
Yeah. At the moment.
We're going to, we believe, I always say, people always ask me, like, how do you sleep at night with him being on the police department? I say, I have to put it in God's hands. I have to trust that God's going to bring him home every night. And the same thing with Salvatore, and my brother, and we're a police and military family. You just have to put your trust that they're going to come home every night.
Right. When's the last time you actually woke up feeling sharp? Never? And I don't mean just functional. I mean sharp. Like your brain was ready before your coffee was. If you have to think about it, keep listening. Most people never connect the dots between how they sleep and how they show up the next day. GhostBed does, and that's why they've spent over 20 years developing mattresses that are going to help you with this. Right now, GhostBed is running their Memorial Day sale. You can get $200 off adjustable base bundles, a mattress and an adjustable base paired together for the ultimate bedroom upgrade. Plus, as a Julian Dorey listener, you're going to get an extra 10% off site-wide by using code Julian at checkout. Here's what makes the GhostBed adjustable base worth talking about. This bed lets you raise your head, elevate your feet, and even try out zero gravity. Add in massage, underbed LED lighting, and one-touch presets for reading, lounging, and winding down. The customization is pretty much endless. And best of all, your bed becomes something you actually look forward to. GhostBed is a family-owned company with over 100,000 positive reviews, and every one of their mattresses is handcrafted in the USA and Canada. You're also going to be paying up to 50% less than comparable brands, so the value is hard to ignore. Not sure which mattress to pair with your base? Head to ghostbed.com/Julian and take their mattress quiz. Every mattress comes with a 101-night sleep trial, fast and free shipping, and a warranty of up to 25 years. And if you have questions, you can give their friendly sleep experts a call to get some help. Memorial Day pricing is live now. Go to ghostbed.com/Julian and use code Julian for an extra 10% off site-wide. That's ghostbed.com/Julian, link in my description below, promo code Julian. Now, Drew, how long have you been on the force total?
37 years.
Holy shit. Okay.
And
You've seen a few things.
Yeah, and the last 28 years on the SWAT team and counting,
Like, and so that's your primary.
Yeah, we're a full-time SWAT team in Philadelphia.
All right. Quick side note on that. Like, how annoying is the whole swatting thing now? You know what I mean?
So
Where
we had a couple of calls, but we handle it. We're so busy, doing
Priorities.
jobs.
Yeah,
But
real
we go out and
swatting.
you see like, all right, and after a while, this is bullshit. So after we do our thing, how we do it, then we figure it out.
Now, you grew up in Philadelphia, you were saying?
South Philly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you always want to be a cop?
Always.
Okay.
Always want to
What
be.
drew you to it?
So I always want to be like SWAT back in the 70s to show SWAT.
Yeah.
I just thought that was neat. I said, oh man, look at this. This is where I want to be. And I would always tell, and my family members knew. I said, I'm a police officer. I said, I'm going to go to SWAT, And sure enough, I got on the job, learned the job. I worked plain clothes for a bunch of years. And around 9 years after that, I had the opportunity to put a transfer into SWAT, and there I was.
Yeah, Salvatore was a baby, so 20, he's 29 now.
What was it like being a cop in like the early 90s in Philly?
I worked
Brian Grizzo, right?
No.
That was before
Rizzo
his
was
time.
the 80s, right?
He was the
Yeah,
80s.
and he passed away. He was running for mayor at the time, but he passed away prior to getting that. But it was great. I worked with a bunch of young, great guys, and my old partner, Jimmy Green, and we used to work the projects, and they were out of control back then, and like we got in control. 'Cause we were like young guys filled with piss and vinegar, just locking people up for like shootings and robberies, and we loved it.
Oh, you mean that they actually locked people up
and it
for
was
committing
different. It was a
crimes
different
back
time.
then?
Like you lock people up, man, you just knew it was the same players who was doing the robberies, who was doing the shootings,
Yeah.
who were the homicides. It always came back like the same group of people.
Well, kind of the same question I was asking about Sal and Camden. When you're doing the highest level stuff, like you're going after the people who are killing people, like a lot of gang stuff and things like that, you have a job to do. You got to go make sure you get bad guys off the street. But then there's a lot of other people that live there too. And maybe they're like, oh, that's just Jimmy. He lives on the corner. Like, he's fine. And you're like, well, no, Jimmy actually has 4 bodies on him. But how do you develop, how do you balance that community policing versus also making sure you execute your job correctly?
The community knows who the bad people are, and they thank you. They're like, yo, thanks a lot. They might not want to be involved, and some people do, because they're scared for themselves. They're scared for their safety.
Yeah.
Right.
But they'll come up and say, yo, thank you. Thank you for what you guys do. And we would do it. And they knew, and people would call in, yo, this is so-and-so. Plus, we had great snitches. Our snitches were the best. And they would always tell you who's doing what. That was it.
Was part of your job trying to cultivate CIs?
CIs, eh? Sure.
Yeah.
Sure you do.
You say CIs, I say snitches. I like it.
Yeah.
How do you approach someone like that when, it's someone, obviously you're looking for someone usually who's lower level or someone who's not a criminal at all and just sees things happening? How do you know, like, that's a good person I could talk to?
You just know. You have that gut feeling,
That's such a Philly answer.
It's just,
It's
a gut feeling.
You're trained
you
to
talk to
know.
them, say, hey, listen, if you have anything, here's my number. Give me a call. If not, I understand. No problem. And sure enough, as soon as you pull away, an hour later, your phone's ringing. Oh, so-and-so called, left a message. We didn't have cell phones at the time, and they would leave a message and you call them back and they would give you information. And you took it from there.
Did you have those car phones with the cord like in the middle?
My first police car, we
Are
used
you
to have
saying we're old that we
first
have?
police car I
No.
had, we had phones.
I
in
do.
there.
We did
They
in
were
my
phones. They
20s.
were like a phone. You would just pick up with a receiver and you answer it that way. That's
They
how
used
it
to
was.
plug into the lighter. It was strictly
Yes.
a car phone
But,
to call for help.
Front
and then they
row
went to the
seats are the greatest show on earth.
That's
what it is.
Philly's always got something going on for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, it's great. But we had a great core of officers. We worked together, like young guys, and it was just great. We just got the job done.
Do you feel like one of the things that's come up recently that's not relevant to your son because he was training from so young, and you can also tell a dude hits the gym. But do you think that back in the day there was more of an emphasis on like the training aspect of being able to be ready for the heat in the streets across the country with police officers as opposed to today? Because that's something a lot of goddamn civilians like me will see, and we'll see some cops where we're like, yes, that guy's a cop. And then we see others and we're like, that guy's a cop? You know what I mean? Like, shouldn't our tax dollars be paying for that?
When I came up, a lot of guys came out of the military that became police officers. So they had that discipline. So when I got on the job, we had a lot of old timers to school you, to tell you, hey, kid, here's what this. Hey, kid, see this guy over here? And then you start learning.
Right.
They would start educating you. Now, today, you know, you're learning with guys who maybe have 2 years on the job. So, or 3 years, they're trying to teach a new person. And depending on what part of the city you work on, yeah, you have an education because they're busy.
Right.
But a lot of times they don't. You know, it's like, you know, they just don't have that education to train them.
Yeah. And I think in today's time, your hands are tied. Like you're a police officer, you're supposed to do your job, but then they're highly scrutinized for doing their job. Oh, you should have do it this way than that way. Well, that's not the tactics. That's not the training. That's not the policy and the procedures. You know, you have to follow your training, and they're not allowing officers to do their job. And when they do their job, they indict them. Right. So, you know, you have a whole vicious cycle of with the defund the police movement that really started that downward spiral for police officers. And, you know, who's going to want to do this job if we keep...
Well, that's the issue. Yeah. When I think back on that, it's like if someone feels disempowered to do the thing they're entrusted to do, you don't, and it's not like you guys are paid $1 million a year. Like you take away a lot of the incentive for wanting to even take on that risk.
Right.
And I think we've seen, it's funny, I can't think of examples off the top of my head because I'm blanking right now, but I know I've seen several examples just in the last year where a news story comes out and it's very clear that like the police officer was in a position where he's like, I mean, I'm supposed to, but I'm just going to.
Well, and then you have to take that, then you can lose your life. So you have to take that on as either I'm going home to my family or, you know, this person isn't, or, you know, vice versa, because they do have a split second to make a decision sometimes. And it's not that they have to act perfect. They have to act reasonable. Are they acting reasonable? And I think that's where the media comes in, because they say, no, they should have did this. They're Monday morning quarterbacking these scenarios when they have an instant to make a decision. You have a gun pointed at you. You know, we don't point guns at police officers. We don't act as if we're going to point guns at police officers. We should be following their directions, but we've lost that respect because to fund the police movement, the narratives that the news media put out. And the same thing with Salvatore's case when he was finally indicted. The previous Attorney General, Matt Plackton, came out with a statement saying that while this homeowner called 911 to ask for help, sadly, he didn't receive that help. When he left out the whole rest of the part of the story, you know? So it's the perception, it's the narratives that people push out that make people think, oh, the police officers are bad. Is there corruption? Sure, there's corruption. There's corruption everywhere. But officers that are out there generally doing their job every day, then putting their life on the line to protect us, they have a certain level of risk that they take. And we have to respect that, and we're not talking about opinions, we're talking about facts, right? We need the facts.
Yes. Over the years, I started going more and more to our mutual friend Jim DiOrio whenever I'd see like one of these videos drop to actually get a breakdown, because Jim's been on my show before, but for people who are unfamiliar, he was in the FBI for many years, special forces before that. And Jim will be the first to tell you, he's like in his career at FBI, if he got a case with like a bad cop, he'd fry him. Yeah. But he'll also tell you when he's like, this is bullshit or something like that. And sometimes you'll see a clear cut one where some guy is running away unarmed and a cop will just shoot him in the back. And it's like, okay, well, we kind of know what that is. But a lot of these, to your point, you have maybe a half a second while your adrenaline's already pumping to think about a decision. And then if the guy is actually armed, especially with a firearm or something like that, and is within range of you, I understand why the thought for a police officer in that scenario, and I'm thinking of ones that are far less black and white than your son's, I understand why the thought process is like, well, it's me or him, or it's me or him and other people he might take down with him too, you know?
And people don't understand too, like you don't understand or know what that person has in their waistline. So they may be running away from you and motion as if they're reaching and then turn around and shoot. Like it's not a one and done. It's not like, oh, this guy was running away, he shouldn't have been shot. Well, that body cam footage doesn't show everything. They want that to
Only
be
half
the
the
end all,
story.
right? It's here, so your chest level. It doesn't see what the eye sees.
Right.
It doesn't process what the brain processes. So there's plenty of people who have been reaching as if they're reaching, have been unarmed and shot. And that's a justified shooting because you are making the motion as if you have a weapon. That officer is now responding. So there is no right or wrong, so to speak, or black and white. You have to take the evidence from every single shooting, take what the officer knew, and go through it that way. It's
Yes, it has to be. It's 100% has to be a case by case basis.
It has to be case by case basis.
Agreed.
And
you have milliseconds to react.
Yes.
And you're processing all this information. And it's quick. And it happens quick. And just like in my son's shooting, it's fast. And that's just unfortunately how it is. I always told him when he got on the job, I said, do the job right. Be fair, stay grounded. But the number one rule, the number one thing is make sure you come home at the end of the night, the end of your tour. That's most important. Everything else we'll deal with. But that's the most important thing. That's for all officers, though.
I think the other thing is, and I'm going to ask you about SWAT in a minute because that's a little bit of a different scenario, but especially when you're a police officer, when I talk with guys who worked in intelligence or stuff like that, they always tell you the job is really boring. It's a lot of nothing, and then it's something very quick. And, you got to be able to spring into action right at that point. And in a lot of ways, it's no different if you're on a 12-hour shift as a police officer. You're doing your regular rounds. You're in your car, shaking hands sometimes, checking in on stuff. And then you don't know when it's coming. And suddenly some guy has a gun. You're like, oh, shit. You might have just been on the phone
You have
with
to be
someone
able,
else.
right. You could just be given a speeding ticket or, pulled over, somebody's car's broke down.
Right.
And then the next minute you're in a shootout or you're chasing a suspect down the street that's armed. Their job is always fluid. I say this all the time. They wake up every day. They don't know what their job is going to entail from hour to hour, right? 1 minute they're saving a life. 1 minute they may have to take their life, or the next minute they're giving their life.
Yep.
So it's constantly fluid all day long. Their brain has to be able to process the scene, make a decision, and move quickly. That's how they're trained. They're not trained to, well, wait a minute, let me stop and think what the best situation. Let me, the person's coming at me with a knife or a gun. Let me stop and think, let me de-escalate. Excuse me, would you mind? Could you please put that gun down? It doesn't always happen that way where you have that time and space to do that, right? And the laws, their policies and procedures, the guidelines that they follow allow them to operate under a different set of rules than you or I with a weapon chasing after somebody, right? Because they're police officers. So you have to look at the totality of the situation, right? The totality of the circumstance. That's where you see, was the officer in fear of his life? Was this suspect, was he armed and dangerous? And clearly, he was, and we'll get into the 911 call and what's led up to this evening, because when Salvatore was cleared, he was cleared on two areas. He was cleared on, he didn't violate policy procedures, anything administratively. And then when they start looking into the background, they start seeing, there's a lot going on over here. This could be possibly suicide by police. And he was cleared very quickly to go back to work.
In 2021.
In 2021. Within 2 weeks.
We'll explain the context there because it's crazy. It was 2 years later. But Drew, when you, in training, I think the better way to ask it is now as opposed to when you were first training back in the day. But there's obviously all different kinds of scenarios that go into when you're coming up on a suspect who might be armed or is in any way viewed as dangerous. But if you come upon someone who is, let's say, they're armed and that they're unbalanced from what you can see, what is the perfect world trained steps that you're supposed to take in that scenario as a police officer?
Situation will dictate what's going to happen.
So it's different every time?
All the time.
Okay.
You don't know if a person's going to comply. You don't know what's going through their head.
How do you try to get them to comply? Just verbally at first?
Verbally.
Or?
Police, let me see your hands. Drop the gun. Drop it,
can.
And then you go from there. And then we'll escalate. It could go from he gives up to where they start shooting at you that quick. And you don't know. So you prepare yourself, you hone your skills.
Right.
You hone that skill level. You push yourself beyond that breaking point. That's what you do. When you're training, you're doing these all this different training we do, and you go beyond your level that hey, I can handle this.
Now, if a suspect, let's say you come upon a scene, he's armed, dangerous, obviously, and the suspect is not raising, once you have already said, hey, drop your weapon and whatever, and maybe he doesn't drop it, but it's not raised towards you or anything, and there's at least an opportunity in this type of scenario, which your son obviously didn't really have, but in this type of scenario to have some verbal back and forth with the suspect. Are you guys trained on psychological tactics to try to...
We're hostage negotiated and trained.
Yes.
We'll train. We'll there's people who have a gun and we negotiate with them. We want a peaceful resolution.
Right.
That's what we look for. We don't look for, regardless of what people say, oh, SWAT, we look for a peaceful resolution. We don't kill everybody.
That's good.
That's the whole thing. We don't do it. A peaceful resolution, put your weapon down, come out, and we take control of them and we place them under arrest. They're going to dictate how they want to do it. We call them the 1%ers. It's less than 1% that do that. People, I'm not going back to jail. Even though some people say that, but some people are for real. They start just shooting it out with you. Right. They don't want to go back. Whatever's going through their mind at that time, it doesn't matter. They're the people you have to be more concerned with. But that's just how it is.
How did you end up on SWAT, by the way?
So I did a tryout. I passed, and 6 months after that, I was transferred to SWAT.
What's a SWAT tryout look like? Bring me on the run.
So now there's a PT part of it, 1.5 mile run, push-ups, sit-ups. You have to shoot two on the shooting course. You got to shoot 295s or above, and that's pretty much it. So, but there's like a 300. What is it? Yard dash. There's all kind of stuff, but it's the psyche that gets you.
The psyche.
You go there and you're like all pumped up, and you got the instructors there and people, even I've seen even the best shooters fail to shoot only because they're so psyched out, and then after that you go into the PT part, sit-ups, push-ups, pull-ups, and then you do your 1.5 mile run. And some people
run your 1.5 miles in.
I'm no runner. I used to stand and fight everybody. You know what I mean? I'm no runner.
You look like you bench 425.
Yeah, I could lift weights. So I could lift weights all day. But probably like nothing. I'm not,
Well, you're also talking 28 years ago.
Yeah.
Back
in the day,
a little younger then. Yeah,
I could run 8-minute mile, or something.
That's pretty good. I mean, yeah.
But it's pretty good. Now, I just lift weights. That's
my
thing.
Walk out slowly, motherfucker.
That's it. I ain't going to chase you. Somebody else. I got all the younger guys.
Send the younger
you.
ones out to chase.
I got all the other guys who are like, cheaters and all. They could do it.
So what's a day to day like? I mean, you've been doing this 28 years now.
So So you stay in roll call. You have roll call, and you don't know what's going to happen. We could have high-risk warrant service for homicide, or we have a shooting unit that handles all shootings. There'd be warrants for them, or from the division detectives, or we could have a barricade. Someone barricades himself in the house for whatever reasons, and then jobs come in. And when jobs come in, we have to go out and recon these jobs to see
recon them.
Yeah, so we go out, we look at the properties, and we see the best way in, where the rear of the property is, the best way to the rear. Do we need our drone teams out there with us? And it's a methodical way we do things.
So these are situations that aren't emergency, like someone's holding a gun to someone's head right now. These are like, we know we're going to have to do this tomorrow.
Yeah, so if homicide calls, we got 4 jobs, we got 3 jobs, 1 job, whatever it is. We go out, we recon. It's all our own intelligence that the SWAT unit does. Yeah. And we have a format that we use because there's more than likely we'll probably go back to this house sometime in the future.
Right.
Possibly. And a lot of times it's years later. Maybe it's someone's brother, or father, whatever it is. But it's all our own intelligence that we do, and we keep everything on file.
What are you most looking for when you cut? Because all these places are different that you're looking at. Like, what are the first 3 things that you're trying to figure out the second you're reconning?
Don't give away too many secrets. We don't want the other
people
to know.
We want to know how we're getting into this location. Is it the front door? Is it fortified? We have an intel, and that's what we do. How about the rear? Can we access the rear? And that's the other thing.
Is this a bat or a ram kind of job?
So yeah, I mean, we're definitely going to, we knock and announce, and if you don't open the door, we'll open it for you. That's what we do.
There you go.
You know,
we got to write a role for him in something, Dave. Yeah, I feel it. I feel like a character. Dave's the screenwriter. So
oh yeah, whatever.
He's sitting over here like just getting ideas the whole time. All right, so obviously it's in your blood. You got on both sides of the family, cops, military, the whole bit.
Right.
You've been on the force forever. You're clearly very into it. That's cool. So your son was into it at a young age as well. He ends up in Camden initially, working the beat out there on the street. And then why did he choose Mantua? Like, did he have any connects to the actual town, or?
I don't.
He had a couple opportunities to go to a couple different places.
Okay.
They were hiring first. He said, whoever hires first, that's where I'm going. And he got hired there first. And the guys he worked with, he loved them, so he just stayed there.
It's a great town.
Yeah.
Great town. How old was he when he moved to Mantua?
I think it was back in, I think he was
2 or 3.
He was like 21, 22.
What year-ish are we talking?
Oh my gosh. So like 2018, 2019. Let me see. I have my
So
notes here.
basically when this incident happens, though, he had been in Mantua for at least a couple of years.
He was, and he was
Yeah.
officer of the year. He became officer of the year, and he twice he was officer of the year.
Wow.
Once prior to the shooting, once after the shooting, and then he also made corporal after the shooting.
Wow.
So obviously, he was cleared because he wouldn't have been able to return to work, and or received the prestigious award, and also became corporal, which is a program you really have to study for, and the interviewing process is very intense with that as well.
What makes it so intense?
They have to sit in front of a panel, I think, of state police and other people that have ranked in the police department. I think it's some chiefs that they had to sit and do interviews, and I think he was ranked number 2, I believe, out of all the other applicants when he became corporal.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
All of this is happening really young, too. Like, he's really...
Yeah, I mean, 24 was...
he's
24
really,
was the
really
shooting.
disciplined, and he takes the job serious and knows it. And
he educates him sometimes on things, like with his weapons.
Yeah, because he's he's an armor. My son's an armor.
He's educating you on
and
weapons.
I would ask him because he does all these different ballistic testing, and he's just knowledgeable about a lot of like different stuff you want to put. Like if you want to set up an M4 rifle, this sight, this scope. This flashlight, whatever it is.
This red dot, right? Whatever
accessories.
And
he said, what rifles a good rifle? And he'll give you a list of them. Stay away from this. They're not that good. The reviews, the quality control. He's real thorough on things. So, I lean to him when I ask.
Awesome.
I go to people who have knowledge and to get better, to educate myself.
Hey guys, if you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It's a huge, huge help. Thank you. I should have asked you this earlier too, because you've been on SWAT for so long, but I would imagine you've had to take kill shots in your career.
I was present for them. I was a spotter on a couple jobs, but myself, my years, I never had to shoot anybody. Okay,
so the guys that you're with, though, if you're present for some situations where someone was armed and dangerous and they had to get shot, had to get shot in that scenario, obviously they have reviews and everything afterwards. Were you ever around one where there was a controversial review?
Never.
So they were all very straightforward?
Yeah. They were all justified shootings.
Do you think part of that is also because you were literally on the SWAT team? So it's like...
We're held to a higher standard, SWAT. You just can't like... just shoot people. Like you're held at a higher standard, so they look to you like, hey, if this was really, if SWAT did it, it had to be something.
Right. Then sometimes they're on where they're being called to a scene, whereas an officer just on patrol or a car stop, that's something that might not be prepared for. When they go to scenes, they know they're going to a barricade with someone, so they have a little bit more. Not all the time, but preparation. Like when they're going out to this house, they're holding somebody hostage. They know that. Where just regular patrol officers, like you said, they their job is changing throughout the day.
Yeah.
They don't have the second person in the car, the backup, where he's coming with the big bear truck. He's coming with full gear.
Armor vehicle.
They're coming with all the guns a-blazing, so to speak.
Yeah, helmet, bulletproof.
Yeah,
the whole
and patrol doesn't have that. They have, some of them have long guns now. They put in the last so many years, they have long guns, but all our guys have them.
And you still worry, things happen. And
we're
corporal,
coming to try to a peaceful resolution.
Right.
It's up to you. You're going to dictate on what you're going to do is how we're going to
Back
react.
in 2020, his corporal was killed just serving a warrant with narcotics and
not narcotics.
Not
Wait,
narcotics,
corporal
so
on the
sorry.
SWAT team?
Yeah, Jimmy O'Connor. It was a homicide.
Homicide. I'm sorry. My apologies.
Yeah, he was shot. He was shot going up the stairs through the wall. They were shooting through the wall at him. Yeah.
So it is still, it's a dangerous profession no matter what unit you're in.
Yeah, and you
they
never
put their
know
lives
when
on
it's
the line
coming.
every day. Yeah.
For sure. You still worry about that 28 years in?
You always worry. But I have to, I pray. I just put it in God's hands and I'll text him. The night that Salvatore was involved with the shooting in Camden, he was on the night shift.
The one with the tourniquet.
The tourniquet.
Yeah.
And I remember I always would text him before I would go to bed, be safe, have a good night. Text me as soon as you get off the shift. I just needed that peace of mind. And we talked, and about a half an hour later, I'm walking the dog. And I'm like, oh my God. My stomach got real sick, and I'm like, something's wrong. So I messaged him back, and I said, Sal, be like extra safe tonight. And then we went in the house, and I was getting ready for bed, and he's in the shower. And a friend that was listening to the scanner called me up and said, there was a shooting in Camden. An officer was shot. And according to where they were, it's either Pat or Salvatore, and I can't get a hold of either one of them. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm yelling at him, get out of the shower. As I'm yelling at him, someone from SWAT is calling him. There was just an officer in Camden shot. I'm yelling down to my other boys, like, open the door, because I'm thinking if he was shot, somebody has to come and get me, right? Couldn't get a hold of anybody for like a good 10 minutes. I called my brother because he had some connections in Jersey. We were calling around, and he called me back. He said, it's not Salvatore, it's Pat, but, get up to the hospital. And then we were able to get more phone calls, like, get to the hospital. So I had that gut instinct that night. So if my belly's kind of bubbling, I kind of like, all right, listen, be a little extra careful tonight because, they're hunted today. These police officers are, in my opinion, are being hunted. They are being belligerent to them. They're fighting with them, even over speeding tickets. And we've just lost all respect for our law enforcement agency. So I just pray. I pray every day.
There needs to be a better middle ground. I'm a huge believer in the middle ground and everything. And it's like mutual respect between communities and officers, and also everyone held to the standard they're supposed to be held to. And that's how society's supposed to function.
No,
but we're
not
so
anymore.
like
the bad is good
now.
and the good is bad now.
Yeah.
That's where we've turned to in this society. And this is why we have been doing podcasts and speaking up, not only for our son, because today it's our son, tomorrow it's this person's son or daughter, or it might be the next it might be them themselves. So we have to cultivate and let people know that we have people backing them. We have people supporting them doing their job. And that's, I think, where we are. We're just trying to be the voice because he can't speak up for himself.
Right. But also bringing evidence publicly as well so that the average person can actually see it.
Right.
I mean, obviously we met each other through Eddie Gallagher. I was telling you off camera before, I remember like seeing Eddie Gallagher's case in the background before I did this back in 2016, 2017. And you read the headlines really fast. You read the first few paragraphs. You're like, wow, this guy's fucked up.
Yeah.
And then my friend Sean Ryan did a podcast with him in like 2020, and I saw it maybe a year later. I was like, what, he presented 6 hours, presented all the evidence. It's like, oh my God.
Well, they don't want you to they don't want the evidence. See, that's what the grand juries do. So, I always thought the grand juries, well, of course, you're not going to be indicted. Look at all this evidence. Once they play this statement and that statement, there's no way they're going to indict you. I didn't know.
Well, you don't even get your own lawyer in there.
There's nobody there representing my son or you if you're the person that's up there. It's just the prosecution presenting what they want to present to get the indictment or to not get the indictment.
That's right.
And for people out there that say, oh, so-and-so must be guilty, they were indicted. No, you have to look and see how these indictments play out. They present exactly what they want to present.
Well, this is also my issue too. I've talked about this over the years so much in different contexts on the podcast. I hate how in society we've created this incentive for W's, and W's meaning a result in a conviction for people on the prosecution side. And specifically what I mean by that is a prosecutor, like I remember Pre-Perara in New York used to run around saying, I'm 88-0 on insider trading cases. And I'd always think to myself, so there weren't a few guys in there who actually were innocent?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I would much rather someone say they're 77-11 and actual justice was done in all 88 than 88-0. But what happens is that stat is then used by someone 2 rungs ahead of them on a Tuesday in November, you know, a couple years later to win office and be like, my prosecution team did blank, 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 and blank. And it creates scenarios where people, like in your case, your son, is used as a little teeny football to these people just in the middle of a bunch of footballs, and yet it's someone's life and you know, holding their future, their family, their ability to earn a living, like on feed it to fire. It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
And that's what they do. They will make an example out of him, so all the other officers will fall in line. And I've spoken to many chiefs, and we've done some meetings and meet and greets and things like that, and they all say, I tell my officers, your job is to go home at night. So you take that for whatever you need to take it. So, but we're not creating safe neighborhoods if you're just going to sit back as a police officer because you're afraid to do your job, because you're afraid to go to jail and lose everything like my son has.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't just affecting him. He's married now. He has small children. So
how long has he been married?
So he got indicted in May of 2023. He was getting married September of 2023. This has put a damper on all the happy times that he should have had without all this hanging over his head. But thank goodness we have a great family. We have great extended family, in-laws that were able to come together and really just help them through this time. But here we are 3 years since the indictment, no pay. He was suspended without pay. Health benefits we have to pay out of pocket. You know, that's a lot each month. So we're all working together and trying to raise funds. And the Pipe Hitter Foundation last year has been a godsend to us.
Eddie's Foundation.
Eddie's Foundation, and some fundraisers that we have. But they have bills that they have to pay. And that's what they figure, well, we'll either, you know, drag this on until he gets to the point where he's bankrupt and he'll take a plea deal, or maybe he'll just kill himself and then we don't have to worry about it that way. The process is the punishment.
Yes.
So we have to speak up because we started noticing, we knew this was a political motivated indictment, but then we started seeing some things and hearing some things, and I'm like, we have to up our game and we have to start getting letters out, and we have to, whoever would speak to me, I would email, I would message, I would phone call, podcasters on Instagram. And then we were able to finally get through the anti-hero in
That's Brent Phillips.
It was Tyler and Brent at the time. And now it's Tyler and Mike Dilks, which Mike Dilks is responsible for getting us to Eddie and Andrea. So,
oh really?
Yeah,
very cool.
We're very grateful to everyone that we've come in contact with that help us along the lines, because they look at this and they say the same thing, like, how the heck did this happen?
It's also, you know, obviously you want to see this period come to a close and everything, and it's been hell and all that, but to see like people taking us on and helping it out is cool. And it's cool for me a little bit too, because Eddie and Jim met right here.
Right.
You know what I mean? I even tell Eddie Jim was coming that day. I was like, I got Eddie Gallagher coming in. You should be here.
And now he's a board member.
Yeah, 10 minutes in, he's like, within 10 minutes, Jim's like, yeah, I love to help out however I can. I'm like, he just shook his hand. All right, great. And then he was serious about it. And now, you know, he can help on the case too, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's great. Getting back to Eddie Gallagher, same thing. I followed Eddie's story, and I didn't even know him at the time. And I was like, man, this dude's a fucking American hero. Going out there doing the job, and he's being brought up for killing terrorists.
Yeah.
He's brought up for doing his job, like my son did his job, you know? I said, that's fucking bullshit, you know? I said, this is what he's supposed to do.
Right.
We tell it like it is.
The way that they also told the story of what happened there, because that's what I read. It was all wrong. Like it was.
Because
it had to fit their narrative.
Yeah. It was completely. That's not at all what happened. And then you look at it and you're like, but this is what he's paid to do. Like we send over the special forces to make sure a guy like that dies. You know what I mean? And I don't root for death and war and whatever, but if you're in the middle of a battlefield with a guy belonging to ISIS, it kind of is what it is. Right. There's not. I'm
sure there's more horrific things that happen during wartime than his bullshit.
There's more horrific things that happen in the streets of our cities every single day that it doesn't get broadcast or doesn't get put in front of a camera and make the nightly news.
But to his credit, also like Eddie, he was like, I had no idea how any of this works once you're accused of something like that, and he had to learn the hardest way. He was in like the solitary and the brig or something for like 8 months.
Yeah,
and that's
lawyers' fees, all that.
Yeah, when they try to really screw him over. Just like us, we had to educate ourselves a lot.
We did.
Right.
I'm a police officer, but I do it from a different aspect of the job.
What do you
compared to? I'm not a prosecutor, so I don't know how all that all works.
The laws.
Like all
you just come in blazing.
Well,
we just come in. We do all the dirty work. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, when
police work isn't pretty.
When we found out this was going to go to a grand jury, because they took it out of the local prosecutor's hands to investigate police shootings, they wanted transparency. That's why the Attorney General has the Office of Public Integrity and Accountability.
That's what it's called?
The Office, I know, integrity, it's funny, right? The OPIA.
That's a ChatGPT name, right? Yeah.
But we knew like all the internals were, this was just procedural because we've had conversations. The shooting response team, the liaison from the Attorney General's office cleared him to go back to work from their own Attorney General's office.
How long after the shooting was that?
He was like 2 weeks.
Yeah, a couple weeks. He was back, good to go.
What was in those 2 weeks? What was the full process? A couple interviews. What else?
Well, they canvassed the area. They went to all the doorbell ring cameras.
Oh, so they had that too.
They went to any other
the
video.
Neighbors,
family members. All the neighbors all over, family members, a whole process. They put everything together. Like, shooting's justified. There's no issues here. The
representatives from the liaison office and the prosecutor's office, from the Attorney General's office and the prosecutor's office basically said, listen, is this tragic? It's tragic. Someone lost their life.
Yes.
But there's nothing criminal here. There's no violation of policy and procedures, even within his own department. This was a clean, justified shoot that they decided that they wanted to make an example of him. And
I'm sorry, what was the name? And when he was cleared 2 weeks later, what was the name of the office that actually did that?
The Attorney General's office.
So it was all the way at the top of the Attorney General.
It's the Attorney General's office that turned around and indicted him. That same Attorney General's office.
That's what I'm confused by, because
we're confused as well.
If it's the highest level of the state, they determine no prosecution. Is there any legality to the precedent of them saying officially on memos, like, okay, he's not prosecuted, and then they can come back and say, we changed our mind?
So I don't think it was ever, it's not, so the way the process works is the shooting response team, this is my understanding. Okay. And then you can correct me if I'm wrong.
I'll bet you're right.
The shooting response team comes out, which is the state police shooting response team, comes out and they do their investigation along with the Attorney General's office. They do their investigation and then they hand over their investigation to, I don't know, the top person, I'm assuming the Attorney General. And then they can say this does not have to go in front of a grand jury. They have their own little stipulation or law. But they put them in front of the grand jury because they want to show that they're being transparent in these situations. Because remember now, this is not the height of the defund the police movement, but 2021 still pretty much in there. So they want to make it transparent that they're not just sweeping these cases under the rug.
Oh, he got a grand jury in 2021 too?
So 2021 was the shooting. The grand jury didn't happen until 2023.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Right. But so they kept telling him, well, it's got to go in front of the grand jury, just for procedural. There's nothing legality here.
Over those 2 years.
Over those 20 months. Right.
It took them 20 months to get a grand jury together?
It was COVID.
Well, Yeah.
A lot of people are at home. I mean, come
No,
on.
That's their
and then at that time, when he was cleared, it was under a different attorney general. And then Matt Plankton
Ruel
came
was
in.
the attorney general who said there's nothing wrong here.
Right.
Back to work.
Because if there's anything wrong, listen, anybody that's in policing, and I'm not talking about public opinion, anybody that's in policing knows if an officer has done something wrong, they're going to take you right off the street. They're going to suspend you with or without pay. Yes. You're going to be taken and put on the shelf. You're not going to be given permission to go back to work.
Yeah, for another 2 years. Here, we just put this killer back to work.
He's so reckless.
And serve the public.
Reckless.
Maybe he'll kill a couple more people.
Because they charged him with 1 count of reckless manslaughter. And we heard there was a lot of internal fighting because they couldn't believe, even the people in the shooting response team and the prosecutor's office, they were all going back and forth like, what are you, like, we've already had discussions about this. This is a justified shooting, tragic, but justified. So when we had to turn him in, the state police refused to walk him, from our understanding, refused to walk him into prison because they said, this is wrong.
This is wrong. You shouldn't be here.
Yeah, that's wild that it was that much long, and it took 20 months just to do a grand jury. Because that's another thing, like, we take for granted when we talk about a lot of different cases. Like, oh yeah, the grand jury, but if you ask the average person, they wouldn't even know like how that works. Most people know how the jury system works. Right. There's 12, it's a trial, they're selected, and then they sit there, they listen to the evidence, and then they decide. But a grand jury, your defense attorneys don't get to go in there. You don't have any access to what's happening. The prosecutors go in and make whatever case they want. And if they're just a zealot prosecutor, they don't really care about the truth. They're going in there with their facts. And is it like 30 people, something like that?
So it was 23.
23.
I think in New Jersey.
It's majority.
And it's the same, is it the same kind of process?
No, different process. Majority rules. Whereas like you can have one person on the jury say, no, he's not guilty. And it's either a hung jury and they have to do it all over, or they just let it go.
You have to take the scale and go like that.
Yeah. But in a grand jury, it's majority rules. So if it was 12 say yeah, 11 say no, 12 get it. Oh, something happened here. We have to look into it.
Right.
And then it's all about the narrative that they want to spin, the story they want to tell. If you want to get indicted, they'll indict you. If they don't want to indict you, they won't indict you. Like they say, you can indict a ham sandwich.
Yeah.
Because it's all, they're festering all these lies to fit their narrative.
Right. So when they go in there and to the grand jury, they present just enough evidence, but they don't explain it. They don't tell them that, this officer was cleared, went back to work. They just give you, like you said, enough. When they blew up the picture that we have, he wasn't holding the gun. They blew up the shot after they blew up.
This picture, there's like, he's not holding the gun.
Well, that's not the one they showed the grand jury.
The one before, they showed a different picture.
They showed a different picture, and they blew it up, and they said, see, he wasn't even pointing the gun at the police officer.
What do we have the picture they showed them?
Probably on, I think my husband may have it.
All right, we'll get that. See, that's what's crazy. You should be able to have your own Saul Goodman, or hopefully someone better than that, come in as your defense attorney and be like, here's a picture 5 minutes later of the guy holding the gun. This is actually like when he got shot.
This wasn't an issue because, like I said, they knew once they did the investigation, again, he didn't violate the policy. Yes, somebody's deceased. I get that. But he followed his training. He did everything he was told to do in his training if he encountered the situation and what he needed to do. And the policy procedures back him.
Yeah. So this is an issue I have with the legal system. There should be something that works both ways here, right? In the sense that if an office sets precedent, reviews a bunch of evidence, and determines no charges in the interests of the people's lives at hand, having their lives held in limbo while they're under investigation for something, it should set a precedent similar to like the no double jeopardy thing or something like that, where unless new evidence, this is just my opinion, unless new evidence is presented, like legitimately new evidence that would change what the investigation was, it shouldn't be allowed to be reopened. One of my friends, John Kiriakou, he was CIA for 25 years, serious dude, ended up being the fall guy for the torture program when he was the one guy who actually argued against it, funny enough. And the way that thing worked was they wanted to make him the fall guy, like CIA did when they were fighting with Bush towards the end of the administration. So the FBI went to John Kiriakou and his attorney and said, we're investigating you for X, Y, and Z. We're letting you know legally. I think they had to tell him for some reason. And a year later, they came to him and said, hey, thank you for being professional. I'm sorry. We were just doing our job. No charges. We've closed the case, whatever. There are emails from John Brennan, who's a very bad guy, who eventually became the director of CIA.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There are emails that John Brennan sent the Attorney General, Eric Holder, a couple years later, saying, find something on Kiriakou. And the Attorney General says, already looked at it, case closed, there's nothing. And Brennan's like, fuck you, find something.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get to open up an investigation. They charge him with fucking 80 crimes. By the time he pled to some, they had dropped 77 or 78 of them. You know,
and people think
it's
that
like,
doesn't happen. They think,
oh my God, all the
they
time.
don't. And we see that. We see that with President Trump. We see that with another recipient of the pipe hitters, Michael McMahon, and his wife Martha. She's Emmy award-winning actress, soap opera star. They did the same thing to him. What
was his case?
So his case, he was a highly decorated NYPD hero, police officer. He had an injury, was unable to perform his job anymore, so he became a private investigator, and he was investigating.
Very sought after private investigator.
Very sought after private investigator, and somebody referred him for a case where there was, I think it was a construction company, and they had stolen money. So he did whatever he had to do, his background checks, this and that, and he notified the police. He did everything he was supposed to do when he was doing surveillance. And that was in 2016. And then in 2020, they came knocking on his door and the FBI locked him up. And they were charging him with interstate stalking and being, I don't know the correct terms, but being involved with basically the CCP.
The CCP?
The CCP. Because it was a Chinese-based company. And he's like, I did everything that I was correctly doing. He had emails, he had receipts, but the judge wouldn't allow any of that. So he was like the fall guy. And Martha and I have become very friendly, and she's, to this day, she goes to Washington and she fights. He was found guilty, not on the big charge, but on interstate stalking. So they had to turn him in July, and he served time from July until October. They were able to get him out, and she's been fighting for him. And President Trump gave him a full pardon
That's nice.
in November. So
because it's also brutal to live with
right.
a felony at all. You go to jail for a week, but you're a convicted felon. It makes your life a living hell in a lot of ways.
So she's been working with Representative Lawler and a lot of people in Washington, D.C. to get these laws changed, because she's like, she has a great book. You have to read her book. It's In the Interest of Justice by Martha Byrne. And she goes in how they did exactly what you're just talking about. They make it look like, oh, we need a fall guy. This is the bad guy here. Look here. Don't look over here. So it's crazy because people think that stuff doesn't happen. Yes, it does. It does. Stop looking at the live vision, right? The television, it tells a lie. And put that in Chat GPT. We want that coined, right? And listen, people have to start using their brains. Nobody's using their brain cells. And we had to start, I'm like, we need to go. I can't sit back and let them accuse my son and talk all this shit on him that he did this and this, when A, he was totally protected by what he did under the guidelines, and B, Mr. Sharp has a very interesting, horrific past that has led him to that interaction that night with my son.
Yep.
Tragic.
Let's actually talk about that, because he's got a long backstory with a lot of different things that are tragic as it turned out and all that. But we're talking about a guy who, at one point, Drew, you were telling me off camera, he was military police with the Air Force or something.
Military police with the Air Force.
What does that even mean? Military police with the Air Force?
Who knows?
Probably some type of security guard.
All I know is he probably had a gun.
I know he never suffered no post-traumatic stress being a military police with the Air Force.
But either way, like, this is a guy who at least started with the military, and then he's on like a law enforcement side of the military as well. So like, he knows the type of side in some way that your son does. And yet, ironically, his life ends this way.
And according to his family and even some of the police officers, he was very friendly. He was police friendly. Like one of his friends who he served with in the military was also a Mantua police officer who had retired. So when his family was notified, they're like, what do you mean? Like, when they found out it was a police officer, because they all thought he committed suicide when they were first notified, because they weren't told exactly what happened, but they were like, he finally did it. Oh my gosh, I know he's reckless right now. Did he do it? Everyone thought he had either, well, they thought he committed suicide. They weren't sure how, but they knew he was on a lot of drugs and alcohol and prescription medication. And
you were telling me he had something like 29 rehab stints. You were even telling me, Drew, there was like 100 potential attempted suicides that are on record.
I don't know if
they're all on record, but according to his ex-wife, she has a journal.
She said multiple times.
She names a bunch of, and it's in her statement. And
because she's been helpful in this investigation.
Well, she was helpful. She did. She wasn't one of the people that was sought out by police to question. She had reached out when she found out. She had reached out to her friend who knew a Mantua police officer and said, I need to speak with somebody. I know he did this. So
this is the
ex-wife. They put her in contact with the detectives from the Attorney General's office. And
right when it happened.
The day after. Yeah. Okay. The day after. The day or two after.
So she gave these statements like,
and she said, listen, I spoke with him over the weekend and we have our statement that we can play. She said, I know he did this. I feel horrible for this police officer. And then she goes on and explains, his battles with depression and suicidal ideation and suicidal attempts and in and out of rehab and detox centers. And, she goes on and on and on.
What happened to him? Because this was a guy who was in the Air Force, seemed to have upstanding citizen kind of thing, life in order, and then at some point something goes wrong. Do we know anything about that?
He suffered from depression. They said he had PTSD, depression. He was an alcoholic for many years, got cleaned, and then when his parents passed away, it kind of, I think, set him back on that track, of depression. And his ex-wife always said he was always known to be an alcoholic. But recently she said she wouldn't rule out drugs because he's made comments to the neighbor that he was going to go buy meth. Cocaine was his drug of choice. They found drug paraphernalia in the house when they searched it. And
what about his toxicology report?
Oh,
high levels.
I have
cocaine,
that here.
meth.
Off the chart.
You're intimidating me. You got the whole. I feel like you're the attorney here.
Well, listen, I have to.
We have to do our homework.
That's right.
I have to.
I love that you got nothing and we got the full case.
Well,
everything's up here.
No,
Everything's here.
We have a whole team.
It's like I got it up.
We have a whole team.
My old partner Jimmy Green, a lot of credit to him for doing a lot of work that he does. He's like this savvy type detective.
Okay.
So we have a
toxicology report. It's dated July 18th, 2025. Is that just because you guys
we
need
have
to get
the
a warrant
original
or something?
the original toxicology report that was done that evening. Apparently the gentleman that did the original toxicology report started to work for the Attorney General's office and was no longer allowed to speak with us. So we had to go get our own toxicologist, a new expert, to look at his toxicology report, which our new gentleman states basically they left out a whole bunch of other information in the toxicology. The levels were actually a lot higher.
Okay.
And in the I have it right here in the original.
So
I have so much stuff, so I apologize.
So no, you're good. Just the basic background. He was 49 years old, 5'10", weighed 189. And so this is the original toxicology that I'm reading.
No, this is the new expert. The original one is right here on my phone, and I can send that to you.
Well, no. What I'm saying is before I get to what your guy
is that the
found,
original
he's
guy?
Listing the original too. So let's do that.
Okay. I didn't know. Go ahead.
So October 8th, 2021, the laboratory, the original one, a few weeks after the shooting, reported the following for Mr. Sharp. Benzoloigonine at 0.221 milligrams per liter, alprazolam at 0.092 milligrams per liter. What are those two things?
He's a nurse, so he can tell me.
You're a nurse
He's
too?
also a nurse too. I forgot to tell you.
You didn't wear the nurse hat in here?
Yeah, I could.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
But what are those two things?
Down as
I'm unfamiliar with those.
Benzos. Yeah.
Oh, that's benzos right there.
Mm-hmm.
I know benzodiazepine. That's what it's usually called, but this is another.
Xanax.
This is another kind.
So he
Okay.
had prescription drugs in his system as well as illegal
so-
drugs.
And then he had amphetamine and methamphetamine at 0.1, and this is the original reporting,
This
at
is the original
0.125 milligrams per liter amphetamine, 5.093 milligrams per liter methamphetamine. Okay, now let's get to what.
So while you're looking
Next
for that,
report
the
was-
original toxicology report from November, the medical examiner's report.
Notes.
His notes were this man was apparently suffering from psychotic illness and perhaps post-traumatic stress disorder. He may have also been suffering from drug intoxication, and preliminary drug screen performed at the autopsy was positive for methamphetamine, amphetamine, and cocaine. The man was shot by a police officer because he came, God bless you, at the police with a gun. We do not know if he shot his gun, but he had the gun in his hand and pointed at the officers. The shots fired by the police officer resulted in fragmentation of the gun. He apparently had the gun in his right hand. It is believed he also had the cell phone in his left hand. But the actual report goes into where the bullet struck, and it talks about like the thumb and the gun. So we know
How many shots were fired?
there was 13 fired altogether, but 10 struck Mr. Sharp.
Were they all fired from Sal?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Yep.
So either way, though, because I'm also reading through this while you're putting that, the methamphetamine levels are off the charts.
Off the charts.
Like that's because I'm not a doctor, if that wasn't painfully clear. But just reading the analysis here, it's basically, I just saw something, now I lost it. A 9 milligram oral dose of methamphetamine produces blood concentrations that average 0.02 milligrams per liter. This guy had reported anywhere between, what was it? Hold on. 2.6 to 5.09. So
Yeah.
that's enormous factors.
125 is high.
125 milligrams is high.
Well, that would be the 0.125. So if he's at 0.5,
Yeah.
that's like 5
He's
times.
feeling it.
He's feeling it.
He's feeling it for sure. Okay. So the original report, though, didn't have some of the numbers were lower than what they actually.
I don't know if we have that report because it could be in.
Well, I
in
have
Discovery,
the
but
results of it
yes,
here.
yeah,
These are
they're
the
right
results of
there.
it. Yeah.
But I think from what our understanding is, this new medical examiner that came in, our expert medical examiner, put more detailed into the report. So
In other words,
the other report wasn't helpful to Mr. Sharp, but this report is even.
Okay,
More
let me
devastating.
read this
devastating.
paragraph right here because this is really good context for all us non-medical people out here.
Yes.
Benzozoylagonine, which I guess, as you said, Deef, is related to the benzos I'm thinking of, is a breakdown product of cocaine that occurs without biological activity and in fact can occur after the specimen is collected. The fact that Mr. Sharp had only the breakdown product and no cocaine indicates that Mr. Sharp's use of cocaine was probably an hour or more before his death, since cocaine has a half-life of about an hour. Cocaine has a half. Wow, that's why it's so expensive. No shit. Okay. So and how did you get connected with the new guy? to do
Our
this?
lawyer had to find a new toxicologist.
All right.
So it was our lawyer who reached out to this one. However, whether he has it on a Rolodex, who knows? But we look for people that are highly trained. We want the experts because we have to get him cleared. So we can't have some half-assed toxicologist. You know, we need someone that's going to be very thorough in their job.
Now, what's the scenario, Drew, with once a shoot is happening and your job is to neutralize the subject? Hopefully it doesn't die, but that's totally out of your control at that point.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of is what it is. It's happening very quickly. You're firing shots, 13 shots at a suspect. Is that standard in your experience, like seeing 10 to 15 type shots fire at someone?
Oh, yeah. You can fire more than that. I've seen old shootings. A lot more. You know, it depends. I mean, what's the resistance? The guy's in control of a firearm. You engage him, it goes down. Still in control of a firearm. Still could kill you from the ground. You know, you drop the gun, refusing to drop the weapon. You engage him again. You know, as you're moving closer and he reaches for the gun again, Yeah, you could shoot him again.
Right.
You know,
Until you neutralize the threat.
I mean, you have to, neutralize the threat before you can do anything.
Right.
And you have to remember, this is still a hot job because they said that there was like several people breaking in. So you're still looking for other people. So once he's shot, you have to secure the back and the rear, the front and the rear of the property. And you have to go from there.
Were there any reports at any point? The first guy, was his name again? Lampley or
Corporal Layton?
Corporal Layton. So did he have any intelligence upon at first coming up there to think that there were other people there, or was it just an unknown at that point? Like there could be, but we don't know.
No, they came out. There was a white male, a black male, and a female.
Possible female.
So there's 3 people they were looking for. So the first person they engage is a white male.
Right.
No one ever said, hey, this is the homeowner or whatever. And even if it was, it wouldn't have changed anything.
You have to listen to that, the 911 call. It really, we can break, when we listen to it, we'll break that down because that's key, because he says, they ask him, did you see the weapon? He says, oh, yes, I saw it. It's shown off the moonlight. But all the officers know, because they don't have the mobile data terminals in their cars. So they know they're responding to a scene with an active burglary in progress. One male or one suspect is armed. So they're already pulling up to a scene with heightened awareness,
Right.
knowing that this suspect is armed. And I think we focus so much on Salvatore, but we don't look at the fact that when the corporal first pulls up, that man's pointing a gun right at his head.
Right. It's already
So,
happened.
He's trying to get his
He
gun
says
out.
that
and he
on the
says,
radio.
drop the gun. He says, and he doesn't drop the gun. He proceeds to then continue to turn and walk towards the police, or turn his body towards the police, where then my son encounters him just seconds later, and the corporal is saying, he's got a gun. And he said, I made sure, and you'll see it from the body cam. It's very quick. He pops up, pops back, and engages him, because that's what he's trained to do.
And we'll have that too. And by the way, people, if there's some videos that you guys don't see that we're reacting to, it's because we can't show it on the screen for YouTube. But if you pulled up some here, you don't have your mic with you, by the way, but can you just tell me what we're looking at right here?
This is the 911 call.
Wait, this is the actual not.
It goes from the 911 call right
Okay.
into the body cam footage.
Okay, so we'll have this where we don't, people on the screen don't see it. Yeah, but let's take a look at this, and I'll kind of describe to people what I'm seeing, and we'll have some volume on it. Let's roll. So this is
911, where's your emergency? 2 intruders in the back of my yard.
who's
What
talking?
town is it in?
Is this Sharp?
That's short.
That's sharp.
Answer it. Are you off Elm Avenue? Yeah. One of them had a gun for sure. Okay. And your phone number is,
So he's reporting intruders.
how many were there?
A firecracker with him to get him to go, but they keep coming back, like looking to the fence.
Okay, hold on for the police. I'm going to transfer you.
Yeah. I'm always blown away how calm.
911 transfer on Elm Avenue in Mantua. Phone number is. Caller reported intruders on the property, and he believes one of them had a gun.
Hello? One of them definitely had a gun. I saw him.
What's your address?
57 Elm.
57 Elm Avenue?
257.
257?
Yeah. I mean, I came out and I lit off a quarter stick to scare them away, but they came back.
Okay. How many people were there?
2. They're,
You're on Elm, not West Elm, right?
not one Elm.
Okay. How many were there? You said 2?
2. That I saw, and then as I came back, there was a woman.
So he's setting
You
the
have a
scene.
description of the individuals?
I'm gonna say the one guy, he looked like to me maybe in his mid-60s,
You got white males, black males, Hispanic males?
white, long, like thinning hair. The other guy was a black guy.
So one white male, one black male?
Yeah, and the other girl, I really couldn't get a look. She was behind the fence.
What were they doing?
Well, when I looked at my window, the one guy was in my shed, getting my shed door open. And then I came around, to go outside to confront him, and there was a guy fucking in my truck trying to get it open.
Okay, hang on 1 second. Or where are they at now?
It almost looked like somebody's in my truck.
Okay. Mantua, Cars County. 257 Elm Avenue. 257 Elm Avenue. 911 phone call. Cars advising 2 subjects on his property. One male was trying to get into his shed. One male possibly in his truck now. He advised that one may have baby.
I'm getting ready to go in the house, dude. I don't know if these guys.
Can you pause this
I
real
mean,
fast?
I have something my grand.
Do we end up hearing the confrontation on
Oh
here?
yeah.
As
And
well?
right now
Okay.
he's saying that the guy's in my truck, but I'm going in my house. Well, if the guy's in your truck and you're standing there, right? So he said he threw quarter sticks of dynamite to scare him off. But they keep coming back. So
Quarter sticks of dynamite
mhm.
It's on there.
in Mantua.
Yeah.
How close is this to like Dippy's?
Well, I don't know how close it is to Dippy's, but it's literally like 2 or 3 blocks from the actual police station and municipal
Yeah, so
building.
it's close. It's dangerously close. Yeah,
It's very
I've been on
close.
the street many times in my life. Okay.
Mhm. So he's just back it up just a little bit because this is where he talks about what his grandfather willed him.
Did we end up hearing any of the police officer
Yeah.
radio on this as
yeah.
well?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah,
all
just-
on this video.
Yep.
That's what I want to know. Okay, go ahead.
Advising 2 subjects on his property. One male was trying to get into his shed. One male possibly in his truck now. He advised that one may have baby.
I'm getting ready to go in the house, dude. I don't know if these guys. I mean, I have something my grandfather passed down to me. I don't know how legal it is. In a will.
And what's your name?
Charles Sharp.
Charles Sharp.
Yeah.
Phone number?
So he mentions this gun you were talking
He
about.
mentions it again too.
So now he's on the
There
phone
you
with
go.
a cop at this point, and they're gonna send someone out now, basically.
So he's also talking when they want
Did
to
you see the weapon?
they're talking to confirm the weapon.
I mean, it was silver. The moonlight came off of it, and I knew it. I don't know what type it was, but it was a handgun.
Okay. Did you see it though?
Yes, sir.
Caller said he tried to make contact with the individuals and saw the handgun.
So then I went back in the house. Like I said, my grandfather willed me a 45.
45.
I don't know what I'm allowed to do or do without that. So I threw a couple quarter sticks at him.
You did what?
Maybe that's not the
Threw a
professional
couple
thing to
quarter
do.
sticks.
Yeah.
So listen, here it is here. They did.
They did inside the
So
house.
he really threw it. Is that the first
You hear
time?
him say put the gun down and
It
speed up.
speeds off.
Are you talking with my officers?
So he's got the
Sir.
gun in his hand.
He said he's got a handgun on him.
Yo. Yeah.
I copy.
That was all the shots?
Yeah.
You hear Sal say don't reach.
As my son's moving up when we still reaching out for the gun, and Salvy's saying, "Don't reach, don't
No more
reach."
shots, though.
no more
more.
shots.
That's it.
No.
That was 13
I
shots?
copy.
Wow.
I'm gonna
It's
start
quick.
a deal.
It's quick.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Milliseconds is quick.
Because when
Yeah.
you're like, can you pause this real fast? Hold on 1 second. When you're at a range and you're shooting and you have on headgear and everything or ear gear, you feel every shot because you're doing it, and you don't have all the noise and reverberation. So I think from my own experience doing that, like you're more hyper aware of when each round goes off. But I'll bet if I go back and look at some videos of me shooting, I'd be like, wait, that was 15? Or?
Well, they said that. They said when police officers are in that, they might say, oh, I shot 6 times and it might have been 22 times.
Right.
Or when witnesses are, how many shots did you hear? Oh, I heard 3 or 4 and it was 14. So that perception is off because you're not.
Well, your
really
adrenaline's
aware.
pumping too.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and you're not really. You have tunnel vision. You know, all of a sudden everything's open, and now it's here.
Right.
And you're just like, I don't know. you
And
know.
they happen to have the whole thing on the actual 911 call too, which is wild. All right, let's play this, Steve. And again, we can't show this part on screen, but let's just play this so we can see. So this is your son's body cam, right?
So
here.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they cut the body cam. He first pulls up and then you'll see like he starts to get out of the car
They purposely
because he
cut it.
sees he sees his corporal slowing down. Then he sees the corporal taking off. So then he gets back in the car because they said, oh, he pulled up within 5 seconds. He shot him. But you have to take the time from the actual
Corporal being on location.
The corporal on location.
Okay, let's play it, Thief. Okay, so he's getting out.
Where?
Gun in the hand. Done. Shots are done.
Shots fired.
Immediately report shots fired. So now he's moving towards.
And you'll watch. He does life saving.
Don't reach.
So was he still moving a little bit?
He's moving. He's reaching out for the gun.
Shot. Point a handgun.
And my son stays so calm.
I got it. That's everybody else.
Watch, he's got a gun on him. He's got a gun on him.
Gun on him. Point at us. Right there.
Okay, so there's two other guys.
So the other answer sergeant.
What did he just kick?
The gun. Mm-hmm.
So he's going to get medical equipment now on the back
I don't know. The guy came out, pointed a gun. Pointed the gun. I thought he was gonna fucking shoot me, dude.
He's putting on medical gloves to get ready to go in there. The other two cops are just standing by the body.
Because they're trying to
But
secure.
now they woke up to secure the house. They're saying, hey, there's two more
Because there
people
were reported
we're
people.
looking for, right?
Three more, because there's a woman and then the two men.
was my original caller, the owner of the residence.
Okay, so the rest of it is he goes up and
He
is
goes
just,
on, puts the chest seals on him, and my son does CPR while the other officers
All right, we
secure
can
the
cut it
scene.
there, because that's the actual part is done. By the way, whatever came of the three people he reported?
It was
It
all
was
bullshit.
all fictitious. There was
So
nobody.
he was seeing it in his head.
So there was nobody breaking into his shed. His shed had a padlock on it, which
the
his
biggest lock
ex-wife.
you ever saw.
Yeah, ex-wife said
So he's
very big
tweaking.
lock, right?
Yeah.
And his car he couldn't drive his car unless he blew into the machine for the breathalyzer because he had DUIs.
Right.
He was in a prior accident, I think earlier that day, that Monday afternoon, he had hit like a mirror. So he was really upset about that, according to his family. But he had a lot of demons, and
Yes.
it's tragic.
Yeah.
It's tragic. And I feel for the family because they've lost, the son lost his father. They've lost a loved one, a brother, a friend. But now you've involved our family because you didn't have the nerve to do it yourself the other 15 times. Because we do believe this was suicide by police. You're making a fictitious phone call. According to the neighbors, they were hearing the quarter sticks of dynamite going off. The young neighbor across the street thought they were gunshots.
I can't believe
He
it's
took his
from
family.
dynamite.
Yeah, I have all their testimonies right here and all their reports. He said he spoke with Mr. Sharp and he saw the weapon, and Mr. Sharp said, they're breaking in. He said, I'm going to put, excuse my language, I'm going to put a motherfucker down tonight. And the neighbor across the street said, let the police handle it. He took his family and he woke his mom up and said, we got to get in the basement. He's firing off shots. Like, I'm afraid they're going to come through the window. And again, when the sister finds out, the brother finds out, he says, I know he's reckless right now, but did he do it? Like, they all believed when they were notified that he committed suicide.
Right. All right, real quick, I got to go to the bathroom, but I want to go through like the timeline of Sharp's whole background and everything, and when he left his wife and all that when we get back. So we'll be right back. All right, we're back. So before I get to the recorded call that Sharp's ex-wife had with the detectives, because there's some context in that people should have, that was really helpful. What do we know how long they had been divorced, how many kids he had, and did I imagine we're going to hear some of it in the call, but detail what went wrong?
She does say that they were due to get married back in 2010 when her son was just an infant, but he slit his wrists and was going to commit suicide. Well, tried to commit suicide. His friend took him to the hospital. She called it off, but then eventually did wind up marrying him.
How long were they married?
So this shooting took place in 2021. I think they divorced a couple of years prior to that. So they were divorced, but like she says, we were on very friendly terms.
Does she live in Mantua too?
She lives, I think, close to Mantua.
Okay.
It's around Westville or surrounding city. So they had she said, we had an amicable relationship. They shared their son, but she said, she basically says, I know he did this. And then she goes on to explain why.
Okay. So let's play the first part of that, Thief, so we get some context here. We're not going to play the full 18-minute call for people out there, but it's publicly available.
So if you go on YouTube, you can get the 911 call and the body cam footage. And the hers is not. No,
okay.
It's
All
just
right,
from
so
a
let's hear
former.
some of this at least.
Hello?
Hi, is this
It is speaking.
Hi,
This is
I
the
also
ex.
have.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, how are you?
Yes,
I also am here with.
Bernard, I'm with the Attorney General's office.
we blanked out their
So,
Hi,
names.
how are you? I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, first and
And we're not
foremost,
showing
just
them
want
footage 'cause
to
they're
say
playing
I'm sorry
body
for
cam
your
footage.
loss.
Thank you.
I know you're aware of. Unfortunately,
I am aware now.
Okay. So we were told that you wanted to speak to us, and we're more than happy to.
Well, I just have questions. I mean, listen, we're divorced. It's civil. It was fine. It is what it is. But, I know he did this. Like, I know he did this on purpose. Like, that poor cop, I feel for him. For the love of God, I want to give him a giant hug because he's going to have to live with whatever happened, which I don't know what happened, but I'm assuming whatever happened. And I just, if you can tell him that for real, like, I'm very sorry.
Yeah,
I'm very sorry.
We'll definitely communicate that. If you don't mind, Ms. Burgo, do you mind if I go through some things? Can I just get your date of birth? Okay. And what's your current address? So I just want to get some background, and then I appreciate your honesty and talking to us.
I'll give you whatever you want.
So when did you guys get married, or when did you guys meet back then?
Oh my God, we were together in 2002. That's when we got together, but we didn't get married until 2012 when my son was 3. We're supposed to get married prior to that, but I called it off because he had like a nervous breakdown and tried to kill himself.
What year was that?
2012.
I just
so 2010, August of 2010. I was supposed to get married, and I called it off. We did wine lip getting married though, but like an idiot I am.
Can't look back on the past. So he attempted suicide. You said how do you try that?
I can't. There's so many times I can't even. He slit his wrists. He's tried to hurt himself a million times. He's tried to drink himself to death. I'll be honest, drugs were never his thing, but in like the last couple of months, I would think that is a thing. I have video of him telling me, like a recording of him telling me he's a drug addict now. Like he was all.
Okay, so she just said they're recording of him being a drug addict. Sorry, I was talking over that. But in the last couple months, does she at any point, because I don't know if we'll get to it on the actual call, does she address whether or not she had gone to the courts to seek full custody of her kids?
No, she never mentioned it. From my understanding, they shared custody or she had visitations, because at one point in the video she does say, and it was just that prior weekend. So this happened early Tuesday morning. She spoke with him on Monday, but she dropped her son off that Friday. He had a sleepover that Saturday and she picked him up for soccer. But she talks about he sounded very different than his normal self. She said he wasn't right in his head. She said that the son and her had code words. So whenever he was there, if something happened, they would have different code words, so she would know to come and get him or if she needed to bring the police.
Like via text or something like that?
Yeah, via text.
Yeah, 'cause he was unstable.
Because that's, okay, so she's aware, she's got a system in place with her son and everything, and obviously it is his father and she's civil with him and had a good relationship, but it is also not her fault that he has some demons and issues. I just,
And by the way, just so for the record, the Attorney General has everything that we're presenting to you. This is all part of discovery.
Yeah.
They have these statements, which is why they did not charge Salvatore.
Yeah, it's a wild.
Because, for multiple reasons, they didn't charge him. But they have all this, but they didn't present any of this to the grand jury, of course.
You play the first the first 30 seconds of that phone call.
And I have to say, I give her a lot of credit
Yes.
because she did the right thing.
Yes.
She did what she was supposed to do. She knew that he was unstable, he was suicidal, and you can't do it yourself. So what's the best way to do it, right? Suicide by police, which happens a lot. So
I understand that this is the father of her son and like she gets along with him and everything. I am, as a side note, I am a little surprised that her knowing stuff like this, at least in the months leading up to what ended up happening, that she didn't, instead of just having code words with her kid, she didn't try to like take full custody. I mean, who am I to
right?
judge
We don't
that
know
situation,
the situation,
but
right?
That's a tough spot to be in.
Well, then she did turn around and sue civilly and was awarded money. That's a whole nother. Yeah.
What do you mean, Sue?
Once Salvatore was indicted, they had a civil suit. She filed a civil suit in behalf of her son for wrongful death.
Against Sal.
Against Sal in the township. Mm-hmm. And she was awarded, I think, $450,000 a year ago, January.
No fault.
They considered it no fault. And when they heard that we had this, they're like, oh my gosh, how long have you had this? I'm like, well, the question is, why didn't you have it? Why didn't your lawyers go out and do this?
But
this is just a small this is just a small drop in a bucket that
the
money.
attorney said we were paying more in attorney fees than what the civil suit was worth.
Right. So
right, let's keep this going.
All messed up, obviously. That he's a drug addict and he's dealing drugs and this and that, which I don't really think he was. He was just a mess. But he got a DUI. He was in Camden, coming from Camden. Like, I mean, yes, his whole family will tell you he had a drinking problem, which he did. But it's not just drinking. He definitely was doing drugs.
Yeah, so you guys are kind of putting two and two together.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Honestly, I mean, I could give you my own personal theory, but it's awful.
Yeah, I'm sorry you had to go through that. So when did you guys get divorced?
We got divorced 4 years ago this week.
Oh, wow.
But, I mean, I had to ask him to leave because he was drunk all the time, and I would come home and he'd be passed out on the front lawn. I had a 3-year-old. You know what I mean? I was like a 4-year-old. I couldn't have that. So, I mean, I gave him a place to live, and I don't know. And then, like, his dad got real sick and died, and after that, he really hasn't been the same, to be honest with you.
When did his father pass away?
2 years ago, and then his mom died a year later, so that didn't help. And, I know you guys are talking to his sister. They're vultures. Like, he just got an inheritance from his mom, a lot of money. And, listen, I don't care about the money, but it's my son's money. It's not theirs.
Yeah. Yep. Does he have any other children?
The detective doesn't even know what to say. He's
son.
like, yep.
He's kind of sending me.
And your son lives with you, obviously?
Yes. I mean, honestly, I have a notebook of, like, from 2015 till now of, like, every time that I know that he was in rehab. I can't imagine how many times that I don't even know about. But last year alone, from February to December, between hospital detox and rehab, it was 21 times from February to December of last year.
Oh, wow. What do you think? So from 2002 to basically 2010, about things were going well. What do you think tripped that, alarm that made him,
Depression. Like, after I had the baby, like, he got really depressed. And I was away for the weekend with my son, and he called me and told me he hurt himself. We weren't married yet, and so I left my baby, who was not even a year old, with my parents, and I flew home. I was in the Poconos. I have a home. My parents, I don't have. My parents have a home in the Poconos. And I drove home. I mean, I called his friend, and he came here because I was 3 hours away.
Okay.
And he told me it was like a crime scene, and that I said, just wrap his wrists, put him in the hospital, and take him to the hospital. That's all you got to do. Just drop him off. And I said none of that. I said, do not, because back then Kennedy had a detox and a psych. Or, I mean, I know Underwood had, or Spear or whatever, had it then, but, like, he had been in and out of there several times that, like, I was like, he needs to go there. So he drove him there and then came home and, like, cleaned up my whole house. But when I got home, like, I mean, I had to throw out all my carpets. Like, it was bad.
Oh, wow. When real quick before I forget, what's your son's name?
Yeah, when was the last time you actually spoke to him directly, over the phone or in person?
In person on Friday when he was here, and I talked to him all weekend. My son actually slept there on Friday because he's been doing okay. Had I, whatever, because he can't really drive. I mean, he had a DUI, so he has the machine in his car. So he came and got him.
All right, so a lot of details there. I'm like surprised with this phone call because, like, again, in criminal court, you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. My friend Mike Spear, if you ever see the billboards in Philly, Rand Spear and Mike Spear.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah.
So he's always like, in civil court, all I got to do is just push my finger a little bit on one side and they can find it however they want. But I'm surprised with something like this existing. I don't know if that was brought up in civil court. Like,
no, they
shocked.
didn't. They didn't. They just decided.
Nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
No,
kinda got
and that's
everything
what
you
we're
need right
finding.
there.
Like, we're looking around, and I'm like, well, what about this? What about this? And then the lawyers, and we love our lawyer, and he'll say things like, well, that's what trial's for. And I'm like, well, why do we have to go to trial if we can prove, beyond a reasonable doubt right now that this happened? So we had tried to file motion for dismissal in December 2023 based on no prima facie, right? There was no violation of policy procedure. And when we went to that hearing, the judge basically said, nope, you're not going to be allowed to argue this, this, and this. You can argue this. And I said to the lawyer, because I don't want to argue that. That's not going to get this case thrown out.
Right.
I think it's all political. Who wants to throw out a case where a police officer killed somebody because then, I'm assuming, this is just my opinion. I don't know the reason.
So it was a different attorney general in 2023 when they filed the charges than it had been in
Correct.
2021?
In 2021, it was the Gruel.
Okay. And who was the AG in 2023?
2023 was Matt Plankton came in. Mm-hmm.
All right. So was your son given a heads up that the grand jury was even happening?
He was. They were told that it was finally coming to the grand jury, but not to worry, because people have spoken and they've all talked about this, and they said this case was not indictable, that this was just going through like a preliminary, just going through the motions to present it, and that they had nothing to worry about.
Did he? I definitely would have been. Was he like, well, what the fuck? They already cleared me 2 years ago. Why? This
has been a nightmare.
Yeah.
Because, even he went back to work, but he's still, no police officer wants to take somebody's life. That affects them wholeheartedly, and be so young when that happened. That affected him tremendously.
Did he have PTSD from it?
I'm sure he did, but he still was able to function, to get up and do his job and still do everything he needed to do.
Did he see a therapist as well?
Well, he had to go through all that clearance before he was able to go back to work.
Got it.
He was able to go back to work and do all that. So, it weighed on him. My son is a very kind-hearted person. Now, he's a police officer and he does his job, but he's not, excuse my language, an asshole. He's not he's not one of those asshole cops, right? And, people may beg to differ. My son did his job. People didn't like that he did his job. He did his job. He didn't shy away from a situation like, oh, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
He wasn't a wuss. He did what he had to do to protect the community. He would take guns off of people. He's been in situations where he's had to remove guns, or people have had guns. He's never withdrawn his gun.
And he never had to fire?
No, never had to fire.
So this was the first time firing anything?
And he worked in Camden where all that stuff was going on. So
had he had to draw his weapon sometimes in Camden?
I'm not really sure.
I don't know. I'm sure he drew his weapon in Mantua.
But he never had to shoot it.
Never had to.
No.
That's felt threatened enough where he had to.
Right.
Yeah, that's, that's their tool. People talk about police. Well, that's their tool. They have a gun for a reason.
Right.
And it's longer time for action than it is reaction, right? So a lot of officers have their guns out ready to go, because by the time they get in and reach it, you're dead. And you could talk to many families who've lost their police officer family and friends because they didn't act quick enough, or something happened quicker than they could react.
Right.
So, I guess it's better to be judged by 12 than, carried by 6, so it's awful for either way that we have to go through this. But now we have a new attorney general in place. We're hearing wonderful things about her. Our lawyer has submitted paperwork to have her to look at this case. So we're hoping she will look at this case, look at the details, and she will follow the rule of law because there's nothing criminal here. He did not break any laws.
Before we get there, though, even it's been what, over 3 years?
It'll be 3 years next month, May 23rd.
Since he was first charged after the grand jury said, yeah, you can bring charges. He was charged with second-degree reckless manslaughter. Is that right?
1 count.
Yeah.
So there's first-degree homicide, second-degree homicide, third-degree homicide, first-degree manslaughter, second-degree manslaughter, third-degree manslaughter. This is reckless manslaughter. What's the difference? Like, what's the...
It doesn't even fit.
Okay.
It doesn't even... this is, well, we're charging with this, reckless manslaughter. What was reckless about the job? Tell me what was reckless. He followed the policy and procedure. You're pointing a gun at police. I shoot you. There's nothing reckless about that. I didn't shoot some old lady looking out the door down the street. You know, there's nothing reckless, but that was the only thing they could charge him with. Let's throw this. Let's throw shit at the wall and see what sticks.
Did you guys have any conversations? I don't know if you would have been in there, but was there ever any point in the 3 years since then, because I want to get to that process, where there were hearings and then there's judges' chambers conversations or something between the previous prosecutors and your lawyer? And what did they say about this back there, if so?
So for 3 years, this case has been going on. There's been zero movement with this case. And there are chamber meetings all the time and comes out, nothing really significant.
Yeah, they had, so I'll take you back. So when the day that he was indicted, like I said, we were waiting for the phone call that this was all wrapped up in a nice little bow because we were getting ready to have the bridal shower and have him move on with his life. I'm finishing up the day at work and he calls me and he says, you have to get home. They just indicted Salvatore.
And what month is this?
This is May 23rd of 2023.
I get a call from my brother-in-law who's a
My
detective.
brother calls him.
And he says, he said, yo, they just indicted Sal. I said, just indicted him for what? He said, for that shooting. I said, I know the shooting, but I'm saying for what? He said, I don't know. I said, for doing his fucking job? They indicted him for doing his job? For somebody pointing a gun at you? That's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
He said, well, we have 2 hours to get him to the prison. I was like,
prison.
We had to turn him in.
We
We
had
had
to
to
turn him
take
to
him to the
Camden
lawyer.
County Jail. So we have to go from, so I call her. I said, I'll meet you at Salvy's. And I drive over to where he lives. And then we have to drive to the lawyer's office, talk with the lawyer. Lawyer, he don't know, he got indicted. We'll have to see what's going on. And then from there, the lawyer has to take him to Camden County Jail to meet with the AG's office so they can walk him in. And there's a couple people on the case that originally processed this case 3 years ago and said, you shouldn't be here.
Right.
This is justifiable shooting. He said, but the new AG just has a hard on for police. And that's what he's doing.
Left.
Okay.
So,
I mean, from the jump, you have people that are in the system, like in the law enforcement system, literally saying to him openly, like, this
We
is
knew
crazy.
that. We knew that once after the shooting, and we, talked about it. The professional said this was justified shoot, tragic but justified, and then they tried to slap like 4 or 5 detainers on him to try to keep him in jail. Thank God.
How long did he spend time in jail?
Thank God, only overnight. That our lawyer is amazing, was able to get him out, but they wanted to keep him in. I think until like 6 months.
they wanted to keep him in until like December, right after Christmas. But they would have to put the case on. 180-day rule is called.
Right, because that's my other question. There's a constitutional right to a fair, free, and speedy trial. It's been 3 fucking years.
Right.
Yeah,
Nothing.
I think it only applies to if they're detaining you, so they can drag it on. So every court hearing, we had our use of force experts ready to go that next year. So they were saying they weren't going to get a use of force. Then we were, then we weren't. So every court case we go, it's like kicking the can down the lane.
Right.
And then in October, they said they were going to get one. So from October until last month, when we were in court of 2025 to just this past March, it was postponed several times. They said, we have a use of force expert now. But meanwhile, our lawyer petitioned to get the mental health records. So that was just granted, thank goodness. So now we don't go back to court until the end of June.
Which is to back up basically what the wife said in full detail.
Right, because what we're basically saying is he was mentally unstable, and we want to be able to have these records to, if we go to trial this fall, to be able to say this man, and here's mentally unstable, and here's why.
So again, and I'm just like reviewing what I talked to Jim about with this when I was first talking about this case in detail with him on the phone. And we've gone through a lot of it today. You have video of the whole thing happening. You have a 911 call leading up to it where the guy's describing a play-by-play that's later proven to be basically a psychosis fantasy that's going on. You have the wife immediately asking to talk to detectives and saying, I know he did this, suicide by cop. Here's his full history of drug use. That's recent, but alcohol use for a long time, rehabs, committing suicide or having suicide attempts over the years. You also have, again, the video, the body cam footage of the actual shoot where you can see here on the picture that he's armed with the gun right in front of him. I also love your little dummy picture right here.
Yeah, that's because that's how
low
people
ready. Yeah.
low. It's called low ready. Like these are real scenes. Like
Well,
we don't
because
make
they
this
said
up.
He never possessed the gun, never held the gun, never.
That's
pointed
what
the gun
their
at police.
experts saying.
Right.
This is their fake narrative. They
So
wanna
you
push.
you also have a full 2-week investigation after that where they go through the process. They determine, the Attorney General's office determines there's nothing here. And then obviously there's a grand jury 2 years later, new AGs trying to take a look at it. And they go, you know what, there's something here. I mean, again, I told Jim on the phone once we went through it, I was like, this seems pretty
Well,
fucking
we've
black
heard
and
that a
white.
lot of time from a lot of experts and a lot of people. We've made a lot of nice contacts, and they say like there's gray areas in some shootings.
Mhm.
You know, there's the black, the white, and the gray. This is not. There's no gray
That's right.
area here.
Right.
This is not opinion. These aren't our opinions. He's our son. We love him. We always support him. We feel he did the right thing, but these aren't our opinions. We have the evidence, the facts, the laws, the policies, the procedures, and the Attorney General's office has it as well.
Right.
So this is just, a malicious prosecution, a frivolous indictment, and we're left holding the shit for 3 years now where it's affected no income, right? No insurance. We have to pay out of pocket. We're all working to help. He's got little children, and it's affecting the whole family, the in-laws, my parents, my mother, my brother, everybody's affected by this. It's just my friends. It's just tragic. It's devastating that this is all he ever wanted to do, and now he's being sidelined from doing it, and over pure malicious prosecution.
Does he still, after all these years of going through this now and sitting basically in limbo, which I can't imagine, like that's insane to me.
I don't know. We've had some conversations like, what am I going to do now? This and that. And I said, you know what? Our focus is to get you cleared first.
Right.
Because if we don't get you cleared, all of our lives are over, right? We have to get you cleared. And then when you get cleared, we'll figure out the next steps. We can't go through this again. Right. I can't have him in a situation where he second guesses himself, doesn't want to shoot if he needs to, and then kills him. He gets killed. This is just tragic.
If this case was such a slam dunk and so bad, he would already been to trial.
Yeah.
And, whatever
3
would
years
happen.
is crazy.
I mean, the O.J. Simpson trial was already done before this case was done. You know what I mean?
He wouldn't have been able to go back to work. That's what people don't
Yeah.
understand. They wouldn't have put him back to work. He would have been suspended with pay until investigation, blah, 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 or suspended without pay until the investigation is complete. But when you have a liaison from the Attorney General's office basically saying, we went over the evidence, this is what we found. Yes, it has to go in front of a grand jury, and I kept saying to my son, Salvatore, please, when they see all this, who's going to indict you? What right person in their mind? But again, not knowing, they didn't present this. They didn't present it.
Drew, has this affected at all, like seeing this happen later too, like 2 years later, suddenly gets indicted? Has this given you any previous thoughts that you wouldn't have had previously, like second guessing how you do the job, like in a paranoid way, or are you business as usual?
you hone that skill set and you just do your job, man.
I kind of
you can't. This is just all bullshit. That's all it is. All smoke and mirrors. What they're trying to do.
Yeah,
I can't stop you from doing your job. That's all.
Yeah,
you go out and do your job, and that's it.
Yeah. So this latest hearing that was supposed to be in March got postponed, and now it's in June.
So it was postponed we were supposed to go back beginning of February, got postponed. The end of February, got postponed. Beginning of March, end of March, and then it happened, I think, the first week in April.
Yeah. Who's, by the way, who was
it was April Fool's Day, April 1st. Because I remember
Day.
saying this is a big joke.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
This whole situation is a big joke. Yeah.
Sometimes you got to laugh at life, even in the darkest moments.
Right.
But
I mean,
shit,
you have to.
it's annoying.
That's
Now,
well said.
The AG office, the new one that brought this, where did it wasn't like the AG one day looked at the case and said, let me bring this one. Someone brought it to her. Who again brought it to her?
The new AG that just came in January.
I'm sorry, the old one. The guy.
I'm not really sure who brought it to him. It was just that time where it was still in the defund the police movement. And I guess when it was his time to come up to the grand jury, they just figured and it's not just his case. There's a few other cases in New Jersey.
I would think the investigators investigate it and they bring it to the prosecutors and say, yeah, there's no bill in this case.
Right.
This case is justified and we don't have anything.
I mean,
there's
our
no wrongdoing
opinion,
here.
we think the attorney general had a hand in this. I mean,
Right.
he's the one you go through all of this. He gets the final say, or she gets the final say. So I don't really know the inner workings of how that works. But if you have the New Jersey State Shooting Response Team who investigates your shootings and they feel that this is a justified shoot, why is that not good enough? You took it out of the local hands
Of the
prosecutor for transparency. You have your own people investigating these shootings. Now, there's a few other cases that are pending where this is the same thing, where the man was on drugs, died of a drug overdose, and we're going to go after the cops. Well, so my son was reckless, but wasn't Mr. Sharp reckless for doing all those drugs and drinking alcohol and going outside with a weapon? Police are pulling up. You don't come outside with a weapon. Wasn't the 911 operator, wasn't he reckless because he never relayed to the police the homeowner had a gun? There's a lot of recklessness.
I didn't even think of that.
Right. There's a lot of recklessness going on. None of it was on my son. My son did his job. He did what he was trained to do.
Right.
If you don't think that that's true, then I invite people to go into these simulations where they have to carry these scenarios out. Ride with the police. Ride with them in these cities and in these towns where 1 minute, you're stopping traffic and, at a stoplight that's broken. And the next minute you have to worry about, do I shoot or do I be shot? And I'm saving somebody's life. You see these body cam footages all the time where you can watch and police officers pulling up to the side of the road. They're pulling up to a car to give them a ticket. They're being shot right out the window. We need to start showing more of that side of policing to show what these police officers do instead of picking on these little things. This is corrupt. Well, if that's corrupt, handle the corruption. We're not talking about corruption here. These are officers doing their job every day, and especially my son did his job and now is being maliciously prosecuted. He's losing everything because these people want to push a narrative. And that's why
he's got 2 young kids.
Two young kids, a wife. I mean, God bless them, and he's got to keep living. I said, you have to live every day. You have to go on with your life and you have to plan because God's going to take care of this and mommy and daddy are going to take care of this because we're not going to stop talking. We're going to put the evidence out there so that people see. So hence the new administration coming in.
When did they come in? January?
January.
And what's the process there? So you have a new AG. Do you guys get to call up and request a meeting? What do you even do?
The new AG comes in January 20th. I guess they must go through their hearings to get,
confirmed
right.
And all.
Well, our lawyer did send
all the old
information
baggage
over.
that the previous administration didn't handle.
She has to
dumps
handle.
on her desk
right.
or his desk, and they have to go through all.
Have your lawyers had any conversations directly with her, or is it more with the prosecutors that now work for her?
Not that we know of.
Okay.
But we do know that our lawyer did send information over to her requesting her to look at this case. And we're hoping that she will, because she's, I believe, her and her husband are former DEA. They're from a law enforcement background. We hear wonderful things about her. She's police friendly.
And hopefully she'll be the voice of reason.
Yeah.
That's what we're hoping. Hoping she follows the law, because if you follow the law,
It's pretty clear.
this is a slam dunk.
Yes.
Right? If you just look at this, I mean, it's not pleasant that that it falls on her to say this, we need to throw this out or we need to proceed. But I mean, this is where we are. Where we are.
Yeah, Plackton had a personal agenda to go after police officers. And none of his cases ever went to court because they were either dismissed or thrown out prior to trial because they lacked evidence. Or they withheld evidence purposely.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I think if you're proven to withhold that, if it's provable that you withheld evidence, you should face charges for that.
It's funny that you should bring that up, because this is what started us on this movement. So he was indicted May of 2023, and then March of 2024, we start getting articles bebopping around that the head of the OPIA, which is the Office of Public Integrity and Accountability, the head, Tom Eicher, is stepping down. As he's stepping down, so-called retiring. All this information is swirling around. All these rumors are, I want to say they're rumors because they were published, right? Of the corruption in all these cases.
In the office that brought this.
Yep. Prosecutorial misconduct, withholding evidence. And I said to my husband, oh my God, this is what they're doing, exactly what they did to Salvatore.
Steve, what do you got here?
So
I just found this article from Patterson in July 2024.
Judge tosses indictment against Patterson cop accused of shooting unarmed man. New evidence could bolster officers' claim. All right, let's read this real fast. So is this the same office, Steve, that we're talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so a judge told the Attorney General's office during a Monday hearing that it must provide a detailed explanation of why it's only recently discovered new evidence in a case filed nearly 18 months ago against a Patterson cop accused of shooting an unarmed man. Superior Court Judge Marilyn Clark said the new evidence, including photos showing the shooting victim holding a gun hours or a day before the shooting, necessitates dismissal of the indictment against the officer. Jerry Moravec Clark, who tossed the indictment Monday, said the state has a legal responsibility to deliver the new evidence to Moravec's attorney Charles Sciarra. Clark also ordered the state to let Sciarra know by November 1st whether it plans to drop the case or present it again to another grand jury by December 1st. Assistant Attorney General Nicholas Corman said the state intends to continue its investigation into the shooting, including by issuing new subpoenas and conducting more interviews. The state alleges Patterson... All right, so this explains the whole scenario. Corman told Clark that around June 20th this year, he received 2 photos that appear to show Cooper had a gun the morning of or the night of the shooting. The attorneys did not otherwise describe the photos in court on Monday. The photos were not presented to the grand jury that indicted Moravec. Corman said he would have presented them if he had known he existed. Was he running the case, though?
He knew.
He knew.
If you're the head of... If I'm the attorney on the case, I'm looking at all the evidence. I'm not going to say, hey, you know what? Here's these 2 photos, and I'm going to purposely withhold them because I don't have a case, but I'm going to charge this officer anyway.
Yeah, this is, by the way, this is something, and I mentioned the scenario earlier about Tuesdays and Novembers, but this is something in society we have to look at because we have created a system that rewards winning at all costs. When you're a defense attorney, your job is to win at all costs because you're putting the Constitution and people's rights to a test. And people don't like that when it's a really nasty case, but that is what the Constitution says. When you're the prosecutor, it's like a higher standard in the sense that you need to be able, like one innocent man in jail is worse than 100 guilty men left on the street or whatever the quote is, something like that. And when you see scenarios like this, it's clear that they want a result. But it's not like the result. They want a specific result.
So if I'm not mistaken, this article that you found, I think I read something about this. Does it go in to talk about that the New Jersey Attorney General wants to revamp this office of the OPIA? Is that what it says as we go down? I've read so many articles, I apologize. I think it talks about that she wants to revamp the office of the OPIA. Now, Nick Corman, isn't that the one? He
was a supervisor on Sally's case.
I think he was a supervisor on Salvatore's case when we first started.
And he was removed, I believe, after this came out.
We haven't seen him since. We only seen, he used to come together with the other prosecutor. But so does that say he's going to head I think he might be the new head of the OPIA right now.
So
If
the
I'm not
Attorney
mis-
General's office seized control of the Patterson Police Department in 2023 after years of scandals. Clark Press Corman. I don't know if there's anything
could be
about
a
that. You're
different
probably thinking of a
article.
different one, but that's interesting that they're looking at that.
Yeah, well, he could just be a temporary hold.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I give
That
her a
might
lot
just
of
be
credit if
temporary.
she's going in to revamp that, because there's been a lot of criticism. And like I said, we've written a lot of senators and Congress people and assembly people, like what's happening. And I know the OPIA has been very big on their list of
I'd be
malicious
shocked
prosecution.
if he stays there, because
But-
if he was purposely withheld information on a case where an officer could have
Isn't
went
that
to jail
criminal?
for a long time,
It's nuts.
and then
I don't know.
you know
They never get prosecuted.
he's
for that,
removed.
though.
No.
Yeah.
What did Eddie say when you first brought him the case, when you got connected to him?
he called
Eddie
us
said
right
this
away.
reminded him of his case.
Yeah.
Is what it did. He said. Yeah.
And when we were on the Antihero, the boys said, "You remind us of Andrea." Andrea took that lead and was fighting for her husband.
Eddie, yeah.
And he says, "You remind us a lot of her." And I'm like, "Well, let's go. Let's, we'll be a team. We'll team up." And I tried for a long time to get a hold of the pipe hitters, and then I was able to with the Mike Dilks, get in with them. Thank goodness. And the same thing. They just could not believe that how clear and cut this is, and that we're here.
What are the best ways people can help to try to get besides viewing the podcast and other podcasts you've been on, like Antihero and stuff like that? What's the best way to get attention on this, to kind of force the Attorney General's office to take some actions, hopefully in your direction, obviously, to see this through?
Hopefully she watches this and sees that, we are putting our confidence in her, that if she is a top head law enforcement officer of the state, will follow the rule of law and do the right thing.
Right.
I mean, people could write the Attorney General's office.
Do you guys also have some, because you got the Pipe Hitter
So you
Foundation
could donate,
where people can donate?
People can donate and read about it through the Pipe Hitter Foundation. And we
We'll link
also
that down
have
below.
Salvatore's Give, Send, Go, which those funds go right to him immediately.
We'll also put that down below.
We appreciate that because, we've had some fundraisers, but, you raise a few thousand here, a few thousand there, which we're thankful for. But this is 3 years.
Right.
3 years without a paycheck, 3 years without being able to provide for your family and an insurance. And he's working overtime and I'm working and his in-laws are all chipping in and my mom's chipping in. Like everybody's working to help them because we need to keep his mind focused on a possible trial. I need to keep him in a good mindset. So we're open to suggestions. If somebody hears this and can help us get a connection to somebody else, that's what we're always hoping as we speak out to all these different podcasts is somebody's going to connect us with somebody else who's going to connect us with somebody else.
That is the hope. And I really do believe it's possible too, through, being able to put the full story out there, presenting the evidence on here as well, because it brings it home. I was telling you off camera, I had a case a few years ago we helped out with. My friend Tyree Wallace had been sitting in prison, life without parole, since he was 17.
That's crazy.
And he was not first of all, there was all kinds of evidence that he was not at the scene of the robbery that happened where someone died in Philadelphia. And there was also in court, he was not the trigger man for sure. And yet he was the only person that got life without parole.
There's always a fall guy. There's always a fall guy.
And so literally the trigger man's been free for 15 years. So we did a podcast with his attorneys. I'd worked on the case for a while, and it's not like we called the prosecutor's office and said, "Hey, watch the podcast." But it was funny. It was the worst performing podcast in the algorithm I did that entire fall, because it's not like a popular topic in the YouTube algorithm. But the podcast was done right. And when they went to look at this case, the prosecutor said to Tyree's attorneys that they had seen the full podcast and said, "We really got to do something here." And today Tyree's been free for a year and a half.
That's awesome.
So,
well, the podcasts are the movement forward, because the independent journalists like Nick Shirley, right? They're the ones that are going in and revealing all this fraud and uncovering all this stuff where the mainstream media 6 ABC News. They just push the narratives of what they're being told. There's no more investigative journalism, right? This is what I'm being told to say, and I'm going to say it. And just like they did when they announced that he was going to be, after he was locked up, people call 911 to ask for help and not in return get shot and killed, basically. When they lied about the whole story, they didn't put it out. So now you're painting this narrative to try this in the media, right? And all the comments, that officer should fry. And you don't even know the case. You don't even know what you're talking about. You don't know the laws, the procedures. We've learned them. I mean, I didn't know them all. We had to learn them. And what you're doing is bringing out the real truth that the regular TV show or the news media, they don't want to show that, because then that would show that this officer is innocent, and we want to paint the picture of bad officers, or whatever their target is this week, So that's always our goal, is that somebody sees this, makes a connection, and says, "Let me look at this. We need help." Right? We need the backing of you and other people to come to our aid to say this is wrong.
Right.
We need to get back to standards in America, and unpleasant or pleasant, this is right and this is wrong. We need to get back to that.
Well, I know it's your son, it's the most personal thing ever, but obviously you guys are a pretty amazing support system for him and the whole family, and coming out and doing things
we
like
won't stop until we get him clear.
If I'm ever in trouble, I might give you a call.
Call me.
Pitbull's on steroids.
Yeah, something tells me you're over there like, she's got it. I'm sure we got it figured out. But
he knows.
It's very cool to see that. There's always some sort of, even in the worst situations, there's some silver linings that come out. You see the people who really support you in your life. Right. You see the people who actually want to see justice done in the right way. And then, hopefully you guys can get through this little nightmare situation right here, and life can be happy. Moving forward.
That's all we ask for.
So everyone out there, we're going to have those 2 links down below to the Pipe Hitter Foundation, where you can help out with the legal expenses and everything. And then what's it called? Give, Send, Go?
He has a Give, Send, Go.
So we'll have that down there below. I'm also going to let's make sure we do this, Steve. We put the personal website you guys have for the case as well. I was looking through that. That's really good. And then, if there's ways we can help, to discuss updates in it or whatever as it comes up, I'm happy to do that.
I have his Instagram where people can go and see clips of other podcasts. Well. It's Justice for Corporal Oldrati 1558 on Instagram. And then when any clips you have, I put it up there. I always try to update so people who are following, can see like what's happening now. I get emails all the time. What's going on? What's happening now? They can't believe it's 3 years and we're nowhere. We're still stuck.
Well, I hope when this is coming out in a few weeks, they've dropped it already.
I hear
some
good
good things
wonderful.
behind the scenes.
Beautiful.
So
that would be beautiful.
I hope that's the case, and you guys can throw a big party.
And we're inviting you guys. You're coming. More cannolis for you.
Listen,
he bakes.
You know me.
He bakes as well. So he's a SWAT nurse and he bakes. So we'll have
all kinds of. Anything you don't do?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just do it all. Just throw my way. We'll do it.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming all the way up here
to do
this.
For having
I
us.
appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank you.
And sending all the best thoughts to the rest of your family and Sal, obviously, as well. If you're watching this, hopefully this is done really soon.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Everybody else, you know what it is. Give it a thought. Get back to me. Peace. What's up, guys? Thanks so much for watching the video. If you have not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button before you leave, as well as leaving a like on the video. It's a huge, huge help. You can join my Patreon via the link in the description, and you can also join my clipping community via the Discord link down below. See you for the next episode.